fifth stint of the 24-hour AXR charity race against dementia. Fifth stint, right here we go. I'm glad for those of you who are able to join us that you're able to join us. I'm Jerry Bear, back with you guys for this stint, and to be honest, this has been a long day. I didn't come by myself as we have an extra spot. I brought a buddy to help cast with me. Some of you've actually probably heard him cast before in some of your leagues, but I brought, as you can see, the SBR commentator has joined, so he's going to be my co-commentator. So you guys will get to meet a buddy of mine, Sean. He goes by Savvy. So, Savvy, say hello. What's up, man?
Hello, good evening. How are you, Jerry? How are you all watching the stream? Hope you've enjoyed the race, racing so far.
I mean, the racing's been amazing, man. Have you got to check out much of it so far through the day?
I watched a little bit of it. I think I was watching the second stint, and then we had that bit of a problem with the stint 3 with the GT service being a bit iffy. Then I had a bit of a nap because I knew I was going to be doing this from now till 6 a.m., sort of like that.
Yeah,
so
we've got the late shift here. Luckily over in America, it's not too bad for me. It's just 8 to midnight for me, so it's a pretty normal Saturday. It's for a great reason. For those of you guys who didn't hear right at the intro, it is the race against dementia. You know, something near and dear to my heart, as I mentioned a lot in the first or in the second stint. Near and dear to probably many people's heart who's in here, as it's something that definitely, if you have any older family members, it's likely that you've seen the early onset signs of it in someone. So the more we can really put forward to studying, learning, and just anything with the mental disability side, mental disease side, or any of that stuff, it's definitely, worth the time. So for those of you who have joined in, thank you guys so much for joining Savvy and I here. We will start to get the grid set, so we're going to kind of get to chat a little bit before this race. We do have the grid ready, but for anyone who's watching the last race, they know I had the grid set. I'd already sent it over to Rotary. I was like, look, nothing's going to change. I've got it good to go. Let's get this ready. And then that last lap happened, and I think 6th went to 3rd, and maybe 4th went to, I don't even know what's his name, I can't even think of his name, there was so much happening, ended up on the podium, and so, it's going to take us a minute to reorganize exactly where the grid needs to be set. So that kind of threw that for a loop. But we are here, we are back, and we're going to get ready. So, honestly, I think going into this, the Nordschleife here, the 24-hour, what do you think about the track, Savvy? Is it one you like to drive? Do you like to race other cars on it? What do you think about this place?
Do you know what? The last time I properly raced on this track was, I don't know, it was one of the older GT Sport games. I think it was the one for the PS3, and it was like a 6-hour race there. I think that's the most I've done on this track. Apart from that, I'm not really a fan of this track. It's a very unforgiving track because you can't afford to make mistakes anywhere here, can't you? Because, one mistake, you taste the wall, and with damage being on heavy, you don't want to be going off at the early part of the track because that's going to kill your run all the way through the whole of the lap. So, but, it's one of the most famous racetracks, one of the most historic tracks in the world. So, it's we should be seeing some good, exciting racing here, Jerry.
You sound like me when I'm trying to get hyped up about Spa. I'm like, yeah, it's a historic track. And then in reality, I'm like, it's just not that fun a track. You can't pass anywhere. You're just following in straights, and everybody brags about Eau Rouge like that's an important corner or something, and they have ruined that corner for the past 20 years, so I don't know. I understand that. I actually love this track. I did a 2-hour race here not too long ago. By not too long ago, I probably mean 4 months ago, so quite a while ago. Just really because I was like, I want to learn the track, and if I get myself set up into a league event there, then, I'm going to force myself to learn it. I did terrible at that race and still have not even been able to gold the Lewis Hamilton DLC because I am so horrible at this track. So, where usually I can pull pace at a lot of tracks, this one, I just get in my own head. I start forgetting what corners are coming off, and so I can understand when someone just slams into a wall. Hopefully a lot of people have kind of learned from that first stint that they've done, is this should be pretty much everybody's second stint, I would assume, because they can't run back-to-back stints, and 6th stint is the last stint. So this will be people's second time out on the track. I would assume, hopefully, a lot of them have learned not to over-push in the first and second lap. It seems like a lot of what I've watched is a lot of damage in those first laps when they're really close to each other. And, I mean, it's costing people who should have had wins. It's allowing people who shouldn't even be flirting with the podium onto the podium. It's just allowing for complete mayhem. And hopefully I'll get some sort of update throughout the way as we can find out exactly where everybody is sitting in relation to each other team-wise. But it's going to be interesting. I wonder, I've been busy for the last few hours, so I didn't get to see much until that final stint there, so I didn't get to see the half stint that was run. But I am curious if people are going to do what we saw in Stint 2. We saw a lot of people making they were being so just all over the place behind people and just so unrace. It's hard to say like that the racecraft was not dirty, but just they were being too impatient. And so I wonder if people have learned, like, settle down, pick the corner you're going to make a move on and just make the move and stick it. Because these like half moves are killing people when they make like an almost move and they back out. I wonder if everyone understands that if you move over on the track to break into a braking zone as a fake move, you lose time on that corner. You're off the racing line. You're not taking the best possible angle. You will lose time. Like, you're trying to cause the car in front of you to look away from the apex and mess up. But if they don't, you will lose time. So I think hopefully people are starting to learn that you need to pick your corner to battle in, and you need to stay tight until then, because this whole faking stuff, I mean, it's not going to work on people that are battling up near the top. They're not going to miss their apexes every other corner. So it'll be interesting to see. And to be fair, scrolling through the list of people, I should have done that already. The only person who I've seen race in Stint 2, oh, that's not true. I've seen a couple. So we've got Rotary. He took the win in Stint 2. Just a fantastic race. So I'm excited to see how he's going to do here on this one. We've got Baggage, who honestly in the Porsche had a fantastic Stint 2. And really just kept it consistent. Had a rough start and then got consistent. Ended up in the top half. So be nice to see if he's going to be able to consistently do that. I know he's racing with Rob. And Rob's been putting in a lot of effort getting this set up, and I'm sure he is starting to breathe a little bit of a sigh of relief that's getting towards the end, and it's looking like we're going to get somewhat smoothly. It's kind of like climbing a mountain. There was a tough part on the way up, but eventually it was smooth sailing. You just couldn't feel your fingers anymore, so you just kept going, right? So it's going to be interesting to see how Baggage ends up working out, and then I'm going to tell you right now, I can't guarantee that anybody else has this pace, but TNR Philo, I'm a fan. Let's just say that I'm joining his fan club. If he doesn't have one, I'm the president of this fan club, because he is not only driving a gorgeous Corvette, but he has pace like no one's business. I think he might currently hold the fastest lap in the entire event. As you guys can see, we're at daytime as well, so if anyone does think track temperatures exist in GT Sport, you can't even say that that's a reason people's times are off, right? I still don't think track temperatures exist, and I don't think tires are affected by track temperatures in GT Sport. That's some wishful thinking. They simulate that. They simulate a lot of things great, but I'm not going to give their tire model anything to write home about. Like, it's acceptable. But I think, do you have the teams and the orders and stuff? Do you happen to know who's driving for which team as we go through them? We can just start at the stop with Sprinkler, and you can go through what team they're driving for.
Right, so, yeah. Because I'm just new to this, I only got told this information like an hour before this, thanks to Rob. So, looking at the top here, driving the Chevy is GTAS Sprinkler, driving for GTAS. And then you got second place there, Splash in the Subaru. That's the PRT comp with SDM.
That is a good livery.
Just going on to the long straightaway, isn't it? Yeah, that's a long straightaway.
Then you got livery. I'm a big fan.
Shake and Baked third. And let me see what team he's driving for. There he is, the Whiskey Bandit Racing. So for all you whiskey lovers out there, hopefully you'll support Shake and Bake for that.
Mazda's top speed, 163. It's not going to compete with the big boys, but it is faster than some. Next up.
Next up, just making their way through the carousel, is the Scuderia driver. He's driving for MMR with Race Square. Now, did they not win that last stint, actually?
They are currently in the order that they're running on the track, not in the order that they're set on the grid.
Oh, okay. Right, okay. No worries then. So, fifth place, we've got Lewis Lom. I'll just call him Lewis for short. And he is driving the Dodge.
That's a good-looking car, too.
Which is the Dead Men Racing. He's just making his way up towards the straightaway. Next up is THG R18E, and the other THG car, the Racing Team Holland one, in another Toyota.
I'm sorry, I'm not
That's
switching.
its
I
way
just want to
through
check the top speed of the Viper real quick. I apologize.
Oh,
Well,
all
we
right,
had a whole
that was.
discussion about who the fastest car is, and I was like, the Viper's probably there, but I'm going to be honest. The Vet has it, I think. I think the Vet might be the... Oh, never mind. Now it's really kicking in down the hill. It's a close battle. I think the Viper's still a little quicker, though. So that's going to be interesting. Looks like we're going 24 laps, by the way. Apologies.
Yeah, we are running a bit late.
So
I
we
think
got...
we're like half an hour late or so.
That's all right. THG R18, you said, is racing, so we've looked at him.
Now we're looking at this new guy I've seen here. This is GJV
Sleepy.
Buren. Oh, yeah. And,
That's what I've been told to
he
call
must
him
be
is
the
Sleepy.
replacement.
No,
He was
I
the
actually
replacement
saw
because one of
him
the other drivers
race.
had a bad internet, didn't he?
I think I saw him racing in Stint 2. I
He's
think
went off.
I think he's yeah, he was in Stint 2. He's got pretty good race pace. He's in that Lexus. I mean, it depends. It's hard to know. I have only seen him race against the people who raced Stint 2, and Stint 2 had some pretty good pace, so it's hard to tell. He had a pretty good battle, though. I think he was top 10 battle.
Who else are we missing here?
So we've got Baggage. In the
yeah, he's
Corvette,
driving...
but we already went through him, right? Yeah, because he's been falling down. So SMM Shadow?
SMM Shadow, he's driving the side Max Motorsport, the SSM Jag. Oh, we're just starting to get ready for the final, actually, too.
Oh, well, so we've got Dino rocking the Viper. Like I said, we probably wouldn't have time to get through everybody. THG Tom, which I did want to mention. I got to watch the in Stint 2. One of the THG guys was racing. I am trying to think of which THG guy off the top of my head that I was watching, and he was a lot of fun to watch. What was it? Dan Kurt was his name. So I don't know if his name's Dan or Kurt or anything like that, but he was a ton of fun to watch on that. So I've had a pretty good impression so far of the THG guys just in general watching them. But it is a rolling start. We are getting ready to get underway. Sprinkler will take the pole with Rotary getting to start in second. Shadow will be in third, Splash in fourth as they're rolling. Dino in fifth, starting up the board. Got the Sleepy in sixth. Philo's got a ways to go, starting down in seventh. As they are starting to roll, I'm not going to be able to get quite through everybody, I apologize. But we do have the red lights live. The countdown's going, and Sprinkler is away. The rolling start, Rotary taking off as they are going down in the Nords. Turn one. This is an interesting thought process, inside, outside. There's not really a bunch of slipstream at 5 miles an hour, but, you know, we might want to try to prevent some from happening.
Oh, look at Philo. Philo and Dino nearly gets into the back of Splash, shortly there.
Yeah, Philo's making the move. It's tough on the outside here, but if he can get traction... Oh, and he isn't quite able to get it as we see them all filtering through there. It looks like for the most part they're starting to line up. As they go single file through here, there's not a lot of multiple lines. Oh, as he's just off, Philo pushing up the inside. Don't have anything. Where is my race info? No damage on Sleepy. Philo does make it through. He's very pushy, but it's one of those deals, like, you got to give and take on that first lap. How hard do you push? You can't take damage, but if you can get a pass done without taking damage, that is a side-by-side coming up on the S's. That's probably smart from the Scooter driver and Lewis just to filter it in and not go side-by-side through that.
In fairness, though, you know, there's only 24 laps in here. You know, it's a marathon, not a sprint. You can't win it on the first corner or the first few. So, you know, Scuderia, they're playing the waiting game. So that's smart thinking now.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely this theory of, you know, you can't win it on the first lap. You can only lose it on the first lap. But I promise you, if you start in 14th position and you pass 10 people in corner one, you will learn very quickly. It is most definitely possible to win it in first lap.
Lewis has lost a few spots too. He's down to 11th place. We did see him overtake a Scuderia, but I think something's happened to Lewis. He's lost a few spots now.
Baggage looked like he was starting to get flirty with the move there. And we will see some penalties pop up for the weak things, but they don't have to run them. And also, when you know what you're doing at this track... Go ahead.
Speaking of which, their Scuderia driver's just got a 1-second penalty.
Yeah, so when you see someone carrying a penalty, you know, don't worry. They're not going to necessarily come off to the side of the track and run it off or anything. It will naturally run off as they make mistakes and things like that. But to be fair, there's not a lot of, like, natural hard braking zones around here that are going to accidentally burn the penalty off. So sometimes when people have good pace, I think we saw Philo back in Stint 2 literally carry a 1.5-second penalty for, like, 3 straight stints. So... as he is flying over that hill, already up into 5th. I'm not going to lie, though, the camera angles here are so fantastic.
Oh, yeah. I was just about to say, actually, there's a battle going on for 3rd now with Shadow versus Splash. Jag versus the Subaru.
I think it's sensible. I think, there's no real reason to fake a move. It's just going to cost you time. If you have the pace on him, you'll beat him on one of these corners coming up, no problem. And if he has the same pace as you, save your tires right behind him. Just don't take any damage. See, Rotary already he's clearly, you pick up a penalty on those first laps. Oh my God, calm it down. We don't need to push that hard. Whoo, Rotary wants another win. Did you see how hard he was going through that? He didn't care if his car got airborne. I'm going to tell you right now, he had no care about his suspension. He knew GT Sport does not do suspension damage, and he was slinging it down there. So he's definitely pushing to try to keep that pace up with Shadow and Splash following in right behind him right off the bat. We've already got Philo up into 5th, and like I'm saying, he impressed me in race 1. And if he can keep it clean, and no one else has pace like him, it's Philo, not Philo. You know what? Fee-fi-fo-lo, we're going to watch him win if he keeps this pace up.
He is definitely catching to this battle for 3rd, though. So, yeah, he's on a mission already.
Yeah, I mean, he's got it. Like I said, I think he has about the best lap in it so far, so he definitely has the ability. But from, the history shows that he made multiple mistakes that cost him the ability to win the race.
Spun, sorry, they're 9th place. Tim Law's just spun away from 9th position. And Lewis Law,
Lewis is in there
it's
too.
A domino effect now.
Oh, so we got...
Lewis went off.
Tim ended up not getting any damage. There were others who came through, managed to not grab it, but I think, Lewis took all the damage. Yep, he got it all.
Yeah.
Tim
he was
to
trying
away,
to avoid... He was trying to avoid Tim when Tim lost it at I think it was the left-hander, and Lewis had nowhere to go. I'm just wondering, I'm just checking out here. Lewis Lom, he's driving for Dead Men Racing, isn't he?
That might be right.
Now, who's the guy in 6th position? Dino, because that's also a Dead Man Racing livery too.
Do they have the
I'm missing
livery?
DMR Team Enduro. It should be Danderman and TSM GDG that should be driving in it.
I'm going to go ahead and go with Rob's got it all figured out, and everyone's supposed to be on the track, so I don't know the answer to that question, to be fair. And it just isn't part of the race. The race doesn't matter what teams they're on. I guarantee you team orders mean very little if they somehow end up on the same team in the same race, but I don't think they did. I think it's probably a clerical error somewhere. We are watching a massive battle here for 7th. What's Philo doing?
Philo's up to 4th. He's already caught up to the back of Shadow.
Oh, carousel move?
Oh, he's going through the carousel time.
I mean, we've got a lot of battles going on right now as we see the backfield coming through just front to tail all the way through as well, so the paces are looking pretty similar come one lap. And yeah, one lap pace is its own thing, but off the bat, the gaps stand pretty close. 4 seconds all the way down to 6. Splash keeping good pace here behind Philo, it looks like. Wait, I looked at it. It's Philo, not Philo. Yeah, so Philo. I'm still calling him Fee-Fi-Fo-Lo. I mean, it's a good spot to be in. 2 seconds back of the leader right now. You started in the middle of the pack. That's the most likely place to take a bunch of damage. And you've been able to work your way up. So I think it's smart to be patient here and just wait for an opening here. No reason to rush too much.
Meanwhile, Rotary's caught up to the back of Sprinkler, so could be a change of lead very soon. But that battle for 3rd is still raging on, and yeah, it's getting a lot closer now. Splash is caught up to this.
I see Fish in chat says, is that my favorite SBR BTCC commentator? Why, yes, it is, Jerry. And then I brought in a friend of mine with me as well. But yeah, that is Savvy. He does cast some of the BTCC stuff, so that is the voice you're hearing. Is this battle for 3rd is, I'm not going to lie, it's making my heart palpitate just a little bit right now, because this is nerve-wracking.
The way that they're racing, you feel this is the last lap, the way that they're racing. Splash is probably having a look on the inside. Not going to get it through there, though.
I mean, this is just really, really too tight for my liking. Like, if Philo breaks a hair too early, he's going to get rear-ended. If he breaks a hair too late, he's going to rear-end someone. And he's actually got a run on him. Splash is looking on the inside of him. It's going to set him up on the outside, though. He shuts the door going in. I think that might have been a little bit of what is it? Philo shutting the
Shadow.
door, and oh, this is where the Corvette eats. Like, this is not a fun place for Shadow to be. With a vet in your slip,
Yeah.
yeah, just yum. He's gonna go right through that. Like, that is exactly. It's genius. He literally sat in that three-way battle knowing that as soon as they get on the straight, they are in trouble. Like, what's he gonna do?
Oh, but he wants it
He's
back.
gonna lose it. There's no
back.
way he's gonna have the speed back, is he? He's gotta have the speed
He's got
back.
the inside. He has. He's
Oh,
gonna have
he
the
got it
inside. Yeah,
back.
he does.
Oh, this is gonna hurt. Splash is gonna get a double on the side, and that's gonna pin. Oh, he ran him off. No, he's back on. Was that just lag? What happened? That was craziness. You guys need to
That
calm
was like all
down.
four wheels on the
that
grass.
says lap 1 of 24. Relax. We got a long way to go here. So they want a battle. Rotary is still keeping right on the back of Sprinkler, and if I remember, which I do remember correctly, Sprinkler was winning Stint 2, and then he had trouble. And I remember seeing something in the chat, I think, about how he was somewhat gutted. He wanted to come back with a passion, and one lap down, one clean lap, he's got a good spot to be. He's definitely holding his own, but Philo's making the move on Shadow, so he's back up into third, so he did get the position back.
3 abreast going into turn 1, the battle for 7th.
Oh, what is this?
Scuderia.
Oh, and
there's
then Scuba got
contact.
clipped. What is happening?
They were going 3 abreast at Castro S.
Did they get it clean? Is there no damage? How is there no damage? They were bumping and everything. Someone went all the way around, and they somehow got out of that clean. And to be fair, Sleepy kind of got the best of it. He got a little bit of separation there.
He was the big winner out of all that. And also Tim, too, even though he had that mistake on the first lap, he's gained 2 spots now.
I mean, he's got to be just super glad he didn't take damage from it, because the damage is going to be the difference. As we can see, when you have to come in to replace damage, it's going to drop you back. So now you're in a position that we see Lewis in where, you know, he's just got to set his own laps and just know that all these cars ahead of you are going to make this. They're going to make mistakes. They're going to take damage. They're going to have to go repair it. Like, yeah, you're the first one to do it, but 7 or 8 more people are probably going to do it at some point throughout the entire, you know, just under 4 hours we're about to run here.
Meanwhile, you were talking about the damage there. Lewis has just came into the pits. He's got on now. His car's perfectly fine. And he's got 37 seconds to catch up to Shake and Baked in that Mazda, I think that is, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, so he's definitely got the car to catch up in. The Viper's going to have the pace around here over a Mazda, I would think. But, you know, I would think the Viper would dominate the Subaru, and, you know, the Subarus have been flying around this track, so, you know, who knows? Scuba, or it's not Scuba, I don't know why I keep saying that.
Scuderia.
Sure, Scuderia. I'm just going to call him Driver. So, all over the back of THG here. R18 has just got him all over his mirror, and that's kind of one of those situations, too, where it's hard to close the gap down like he wants to. Like, Tim is up 1.5 seconds on him, but if you're constantly having to debate whether you go defensive, if you're constantly having to debate, you know, do I go too wide here? It's just hard to close gaps down on people ahead of you. You only have so much brain power. At least I've found drivers in general, good drivers especially, can only think about 3 or 4 things at a time, right? I got like my traction control, I've got what corners coming up, and I've got what position. That's about it. And then I'm out of things to think about. So you give them more to think about, they'll start to make some mistakes. As Tim's looking racy down this straight, it's a dangerous corner to try to get side by side in. It's probably smart to just filter in.
I'm just looking at the battle here for the lead because Rotary is all over the back of Sprinkler. I'm wondering if Rotary's just content just to sit there in second place, save a bit more fuel than Sprinkler. And I don't know if that's what he's trying to do. Let's see in terms of fuel saving. Yeah, he has saved a bit of fuel on the leader Sprinkler. But I tell you what, they're not going to be careful because Philo is definitely catching.
Philo is closing it in now. Just for a quick update on the overalls, is that it looks like it's been added up. Rotary's currently leading the overall, 6.2 seconds ahead of Sprinkler. So you got to realize that Sprinkler and Rotary's gap is about a 6-second gap. So anything there is going to definitely be close for Rotary. Then we've also got Scudiera is currently in 3rd, Shadow rocking in 4th. So Shadow in 4th. Their team is also in 4th. And then we've got Philo in 5th, Tim Lore in 6th currently, Splash in 7th but is a lap down, Lewis in 8th, a lap down, R18 is in 9th, Baggage in 10th, Sleepy's in 11th, Tom in 12th, Dino in 13th, and Shaken is in 14th. So right now at the top of the leaderboard is actually both a battle for the win of the stint and a battle for who's leading the actual overall right now. And then Scudiera, who we looked at
That's,
earlier, he's on a time race right here because his team's currently sitting in third, so that's got to be a kind of...
Sorry there, shake and bake at the moment, and he's gone off the track, but no damage done.
That's always
down
important.
in 13th place.
Yeah, it's always important not to get damage. It keeps your stint going. But, I mean, so Gutierrez is just realizing that if his team's in third, it's all about time, which means you just got to avoid damage, and there are, like, 3 cars right in front of you, and every pass...
Philo! Wow, he's gone into second place. The power of the Chevrolet just blitzes by Rowley like he's not even there. What a pass that was!
I mean, this is going to get dangerous. If Philo gets out ahead of everybody, and there's no one to slow him down or anyone to, like, put him on a weird line or anything...
He really wants to lead here, coming up towards the carousel. But Philo, isn't it?
It's Philo. No, it's Philo.
Philo, sorry.
Philo. It's Philo.
Oh, Philo, yeah.
I was saying wrong.
He's absolutely flying around this track. I'm guessing he's going to take the lead of the carousel, I reckon.
So, I mean, clearly we've got another fan club member. So we got the president and vice president of the Philo fan club here. And
here we go. Oh, this car trying to get into Sprinkler!
Oh, that seemed like Sprinkler let him have the carousel, and he went to the high side.
Yeah. And
that ended up costing him both first and second place. I don't know how much I agree with taking the carousel on the high side. That is a very long way around that carousel when you can't use any of that anchor. And we saw Rotary put his right tire right there on that lip, and that gives you that perfect angle to be a little bit in the throttle, and you just yoink all the way around it, and there's nothing Sprinkler could do to try to battle for that.
Do you know something? You were telling me about the official order that, you know, the gap between Sprinkler's team to Rotary's team is only 6.2 seconds. And then if you think about it, that's, what, over 16 hours worth of racing, and there's only 6.2 seconds separating those two teams. That's incredibly close for, like, a 24-hour race.
I mean, yeah, the stints have been insanely competitive. We'll see some gaps kind of, you know, start to spread out throughout it between the groups, but it's been pretty impressive watching these short groups, like these groups of 3s and these groups of 4s just completely battle. And to be fair, I think most of them are aware of it's just the ones who make the mistakes that fall back. So you've got to be really smart when you're battling just so close to these other cars around the track, because if you make a mistake that puts damage on your car, or if the car in front of you makes a mistake that puts damage on your car, both of those are not good. Both of those are definitely costing you massive time.
Battle for 5th position now. Shadow in the Jag versus Dino in the, well, I guess it's the other Dead Man Racing Dodge. So Shadow, we saw in 3rd position a lap ago, and nearly gets the second bit of the carousel.
Oh, no, Shadow's
he's going to go off the track. Yeah, and Dino's through.
No damage, though. So, I mean, do we turn damage off? People are hitting walls and getting lucky. I was watching Stint, too, and it was like every spin was putting damage on people. So, lap 2 coming around, Philo, that is, I'm going to tell you right now, that's dangerous. Philo going from 7th to 1st in 2 laps with the pace he has is potentially a situation where everybody else is racing for 2nd if he doesn't make a mistake. I'm telling you, I'm president of the fan club. The guy absolutely flies, man. The guy is a racer.
He's basically doing qualifying laps at this rate, and I mean, we've got like 23 laps to go. He can't be doing this lap after lap, surely.
Well, in Stint 2, he couldn't. No, he made quite a bit of huge mistakes that gave him engine damage, and even with all that, he almost still ended up winning the race.
He went under 8 minutes that lap. Jesus, he is flying.
Yeah, it's going to keep getting quicker and quicker. Once he gets this first stint over with, I would expect it most definitely to start to get consistent. We do see Sprinkler making the move by Rotary, though. Probably got him on the straight, to be fair. The BMW is not a straight-in machine. I don't know if any of you know this, but it's quick in the corners, not in the straight line. It does have decent acceleration, so it can hold on to a slipstream, but it really does not have a chance of doing much in a straight line race, so...
Pace Motorsports in the pit lane. Sleepy's had a lot of damage done to his car. Front bumper, I think it was like front left suspension, and the back has been damaged, so he's had a moment somewhere. He was running in, I think it was in 9th position for
Well,
having that mistake.
yeah, and I mean, if you're in Lewis's position, we said people were going to start doing it, and already there's the first person whose gap has closed massively down to you, so you can already see a position that's available to gain. And it's going to continue to happen, most likely. I mean, when you're looking at Shake and Bake right now, for example, sitting in 12th, like, it's such a truth that it looks like he might want to move his brake bias back a little bit. He's wearing those fronts a little too hard. But regardless of where he puts his brake bias, um, we've literally seen people get like top 7s, top 5s, and stuff like that by doing nothing other than running their 810, 805, or whatever it may be laps, and just keeping their car together. You know, same with Tom sitting here in those same little lap times. I mean, honestly, their lap times are real close right here between Tom and Shake and Bake. I would expect if they keep it together, they could be running real close. It's going to be hard to see what Sleepy and Lewis can pull off. We've seen a damage lap, and Lewis has got a decent one there, so this back group might start to close up as we scroll through and see if we got any other battles to keep an eye on.
It's kind of spread it out a little bit. I'm just looking through it too. I think the only real close battle was actually second with Sprinkler to Rotary, just about half a second.
It's going to be interesting to see what happens here with Rotary and Sprinkler. They raced in Stint 2, so Sprinkler was in the lead, but Rotary didn't like make a pass or anything on him. Sprinkler just ran into the wall a bunch of times, and that allowed Rotary to move on through into first. So I'm really excited to see what happens over the length of the entire stint. You know, the BMW is an endurance machine. That is what BMWs do. So it's kind of in that Lexus category of it doesn't have a part of the it's not like bad on bad tires. It doesn't just fall off a cliff. Where, I mean, the Vet I think is one of the stronger, especially underrepresented cars that's strong, but it does have a point where its tires get to the point that you can't make it turn anymore. You know, so there could be a little bit of late stint actions where the tires are starting to get on that like crossover point where Rotary has a little bit more grip or his car just is a little bit better under pressure. But other than that, I mean, I don't know if anything's really going to separate them because, I mean, 3 laps in, I mean, they're sitting on literally 0.6 of a second difference, 0.7 of a second on the lap. That's just loss of following. And, I mean, if you're in Splash's position just behind them, this is the best you can be because they're slowing each other down a little bit. You're going to get closed up into this gap if you can keep your pace going. And that is a cool angle, man. Dino also looking real quick here. Shadow trying to close it down. We've seen Shadow have a real good pace too. We saw him have that little bit of a mistake. Got lucky he didn't take any damage, right? But at the same time, he is going to have to close that gap back down, so we'll have to see how that pace really works out. Tim also one of the lucky ones to not take damage on a mistake early on. And it's paying dividends up into 7th with R18 falling right behind him.
He is catching Shadow and Dino just up ahead. So, yeah, that little mistake he did on the first lap, he's took his anger out on it, and it's definitely working because he is catching the Jag in front of him. Well,
and something to keep an eye out for, and it's, I'll say unlikely, it would be insane. You know, Philo would have to have the race of a lifetime here. But his team is currently about 5 minutes and 24 seconds off the lead. We know that Sprinkler and Rotary are battling for the lead. So if he could somehow get 5 minutes ahead of second place, he would pull his team back into the lead.
I mean, it'll be an astronomical effort if he can do that.
He would pull his
laps.
team from 7th place. I mean, granted, he would have to average like a minute every 5 laps on them. But I'm just saying, he was running 4 seconds a lap. That's not going to quite cut it. But if he could get that up to about 12 seconds a lap, get them battling, if they wreck each other or something like that, could get dangerous quick.
I tell you what, road to these other 800s behind him. He's all over the back of that Chevy, going through the fast part of the track. Well, going in like the second part there. And I don't know if Rotary's just content just to stay in behind and save that bit more fuel. But he's really going to the back of Sprinkler. And obviously when you get close to the back end of a car, you're going to be fighting the dirty air too.
I mean, the issue is there's nowhere to pass here. Like, I mean, it's not like, oh, well, there's enough room for 2 cars to fit. There's not enough room for 2 cars to fit. It's just that simple about this track. So you really need to find a place to set people up for passes here. You can't just pass willy-nilly. Like, you need to actually work a couple of corners to really get them off their line if you're really going to make a pass. And so you do need to be close to them. You do need to be putting pressure on them. And there's just a very, very slim chance that he's going to be... The 2 major battle zones are the straights. The Beamer versus the Corvette is not a good battle on a straight, so he's going to want to try to figure out a better place to pass him, or it's pretty safe to just wait for a mistake. You're lap 3 of 24. We've got hours to go. You are not, like, if you think you can pass Philo, and, like, Rotary knows. You know, he raced Philo last time. If Philo didn't murder himself 4 times, he wouldn't have probably passed him. So he probably knows that Philo's gone. And it's not a battle for him because he's back so far that it doesn't matter. Like, you know, he needs an insane race. That he just needs to maintain this gap on Sprinkler so his team has the opportunity to win the race at the end. Like, you just got to keep your team in the fight. You don't want to be the driver who is 6 seconds ahead and then is, you know, 2 minutes and 37 seconds behind after their stint, right? So there's a lot of stuff going on right now, though. Definitely want to keep it a little bit on the... There's no reason to push it too much yet.
Battle for 6th position now, Shadow versus Timlaw. And the BMW all over now, the back of the Jag as they're going, I think, to the second carousel, which is where Shadow made the mistake a lap ago, which enabled Dino to get into 5th position. But Tim, I think this is an impressive drive since the mistake on the first lap.
Yeah, and it's tough. We saw the mistake. He was in a huge amount of traffic. We didn't actually catch exactly what happened, so who knows what can happen. But since then, yeah, he's definitely set his goals and his sights high and taken off. And
Shadow's learned the mistake what he did a lap ago. Now I wonder who's going to be quick on the straightaway
here. I
here.
don't know
Will it
who's
be the Beamer or the Jag?
faster in a straight line between the Beamer and the Jag. The Beamer's definitely going to have, I think, the acceleration, which it looks like he may have gotten there. But on a straight line, I mean, you can flip a coin here. I wonder who has the... All right, so the Jag's getting the 64s and 65s. Yeah, the Beamer isn't going to go over the high 60s. So the Jag, if he's already getting into the 64s and 65s, the Beamer needs the slip. Because, yeah, see, the Beamer with the slip isn't even hitting 170. And Shadow's
it now.
And Shadow's hitting 170 with nothing. He's always trying to push it out on the outside. What is that idea? Where'd the cars go? Oh, and then they just appear flying. All right, yeah, he's being safe for sure there. He knew he didn't really have a good run. So it seems like maybe he's got a little bit of an acceleration on the Jag, but top speed-wise, he's going to need help with the slip. I think this is the area that the Beamer needs to exploit. Get aggressive into turn 1. You can hold the outside on turn 2, and then all of a sudden you're through, and you can, like, put him behind you for the entire lap.
Oh, they came close there.
I mean, that driving...
That could have been a big contact.
I'm having a feeling that he's okay just following, because if he's breaking in that close on the car, he was never intending on making a move. So he might be okay just trying to wait for a mistake. And, I mean, that might be okay, but at the same time, R18's closing the gap up behind as well.
I was just about to say, talking about the guy in 8th position, he's the only guy starting this race on softs. All the others are on super softs.
Yeah, in Stint 2, I made my opinion that I think that's not the strongest strategy, but I can understand why you would run it, I guess. And we haven't seen much, but I do remember there was one team that had a soft strategy. I apologize to them because I can't remember the order of their initials. CWN maybe. But they had a really good strategy on it. So I'm not fully changed to thinking it's a winning strat. But if your goal is to just be competitive, I could see some opportunities with it. So there is a team running the soft strat, and they fill all the way, where we'll see most everybody else...
Tim's by. Tim's managed to get by Shadow going into towards the Vido chicane. Yeah, so Tim now into 6th. And Shadow had picked up half a second penalty. He was trying to burn it on the straightaway, trying not to lose any time, but Tim's up to 6th.
Well, I wonder if Shadow knows he doesn't really need to burn it. As far as I understand it, as far as I understand the rules, you can just carry on forever, but I mean, to be fair, Splash has closed this gap down on the second and third battle right now. He's only a second back of him. Rotary is still just following. So it's looking like this top 3 is going to be a 3-car battle. And to be fair, Philo's got to be looking at that, and he can't really see it, right? But if he knows it's happening, or Philo's telling him it's happening, that's a happy place to be, because the more people who could potentially hurt your competition and potentially add 30 seconds or a minute to their time is more chances you have to, gain 5 minutes. As Rotary's making the move! Oh, he's going to have the inside. This is the exact line you want to have. That is the racecraft I was talking about. Get it on a spot where you can do it. Oh, they're going right there. They're pushing. Oh, I love it. Oh, I love that racing. That is how you do it. Oh, that was fun. That is
That
exactly what I
was
was talking about. Use some racecraft
that.
because you cannot beat him in a straight line. And he got the run. It's a straight that isn't long enough for the Corvette to really get to use its entire top end. And he took advantage of the fact he had the acceleration out of that corner, and now he gets to block him for the entire lap. And if you can somehow break slip, you take away the Corvette's advantage. If the Corvette can keep slip, though, there's a real long straight at the end of this lap that is going to be very dangerous to keep up with. But woo, what a move!
That was a proper BTCC move there, because we know Rotary started racing in that championship, and I wonder if he was doing that because Splash was catching in quite a hurry. So I'm wondering if this is the time for Rotary to to get going away from Sprinkler and Splash, who was definitely catching.
I'm going to be honest. I wonder if last lap, because they came through that same area last lap together in the same kind of formation. I wonder if last lap he realized that Sprinkler has to lift if he's alongside of him, and he'll be able to stick it around the outside there like he did. Because, I mean, he just kept it out there, and like we said, the Beamer is a turn car. Like, the BMW loves this kind of stuff right here. And this is where it excels. Even not even hitting it well, he's pulling further away from the Corvette, right? So I think he just realized that he had the acceleration zone on the lap before, and he just kept it close. And as soon as he saw Sprinkler make that same slow leave out of the corner, he just pounced and got the car in a spot where it made the Corvette not comfortable. We saw every time they touched, the Corvette got the worst of it, because the Corvette is not that kind of car. The BMW is an endurance, let's stick it in there and it'll live no matter what I do to it kind of car.
Oh, Splash! Oh, Splash nearly got into the back of Sprinkler.
Well, no damage, so that's close, but yeah, so I think he just took advantage of the car's advantages, right? The Corvette's got the advantage in a straight line race, and so Rotary said, I won't race you in a straight line. I'll wait until we get you on some like little bitty corners where I can take advantage of my acceleration, I can take advantage of my handling, and I'll get you there. And now that he's done that,
here comes Splash.
He's starting to separate.
Splash the outside now for Sprinkler. Battle for the bottom step here on the podium. Is Sprinkler going to give Splash the run or the inside? He's got room side by side and through.
Oh, he got it done. And he's coming back at him because he ran it wide. Oh, he's not going to have any overlap, though.
Oh, he's just giving a little bump just to make good friends there. But I wonder, because with Rotary making that pass on Sprinkler, I wonder if it's lost some of that momentum on Sprinkler.
I mean, we have seen that. I mean, again, I don't know anyone well enough to be able to say, well, I've seen him race enough to know for sure, but it is definitely one of those things where I was talking about the tire wear on the Corvette is a little bit worse than like the BMW. It's a little bit worse than the WRX. I only know that from looking at it right now. It's almost the same, actually. I never drive the WRX, that's why I know nothing about it other than it is not real fast in a straight line. But I was surprised by its top speed when I was watching Stint too, so it turns out I may just know nothing about the WRX and I need to give it a full chance. Damage update has been very small. We haven't seen too much damage going across. None of the cars we're going through have done it yet. Shadow and Tim.
Just to cut you off again, Shake and Baker's got some front end damage, so he's had a moment on this lap, and Sleepy's going to get by the Mazda sometime soon. He shut the door there.
Oh, everyone's grabbing some dirt. So yeah, Shake and Baker's picked up a little bit of damage. That's going to let Sleepy make the move on him. Sleepy took damage on lap 1, so he had to pit. That's why he's fallen down the order. I would expect him to be able to climb back through. Lewis also took damage on lap 1, which is why he's fallen down as well. But to be fair to Lewis right now, he has brought this gap down massively on the people. Like, it was like a 40-second gap after he got out of the pit. So I know a couple of them had to come in and pit and repair some damage, but for how bad a start he had, this is a fantastic recovery from Lewis. And when you're driving the best-looking car on the field, you get a minute on stream, because that is a beautiful Viper, and it's got an orange livery. So he gets some time right there.
Is that your favorite color?
Oh, yeah. Gotta be. Orange and pink are the only two good colors. If you're in anything but orange and pink, you just really don't know what you're talking about. Sleepy all over the back of Shake and Bake. I wonder if he knows he has damage, or if he's getting slowed down not knowing what's going on here. Because he's been behind him for a minute now.
Sleepy's got to know that, because they were about 20. Shake and Bake was about 20 plus seconds ahead of Sleepy.
Right,
so
and the gap's
Sleepy's
just
got to know that Shake's got damage.
It's just
It's just
nowhere
a
to
case of
pass
where
here.
to find him.
And he's just taking up the whole track with this damage. That is some aggressive driving. At the same time, though, he might have so much damage that he just can't afford to use the real lines because the car's not turning anymore. Like, he has complete suspension damage on the front and entire aero damage on the front. Sleepy's he
Oh,
maybe
oh.
just now got comfortable enough to move off the
Yeah, he's through
line.
now. He's
So
through
Sleepy
now.
does get through. Let's see what else kind of battles we've got going. We see a very wide pass. We got to put 2 tires off sometimes. As Shadow and R18 are in an absolute battle.
Oh! Shadow's really falling down the pecking order now.
R18 closed that door, got through, but I'd expect Shadow to come right back at turn 1. I'd be pretty upset about that door shut. I'd be like, well, we're not done. Hold on, I can shut the door too.
Yeah, he's got the inside for Castro S here.
So and he did do that. I would have done the same thing. I would have closed. I'd have come up on him too and been like, "Nah, I'll shut the door anywhere I can, my man." I would sit on this apex.
Oh, you give him a little bump and run sideways off of the first corner.
Are they?
So he's going to lose traction, and he's still.
Oh, he's going to come back at him. Oh, he is so sick of him right now. Oh, but he couldn't get anything done there, so he's going to have to let that gap settle in. If you can't get something done soon, like really this corner, there's not a lot of corners left before you're back into the Nords, and then once you're back in the mountain or whatever the heck that is, back into the forest, there's just not a lot of places to pass without a mistake. So Splash is 2 seconds back of Rotary, so the gap here at 2nd and 3rd and 4th is kind of stabilized at about 2 seconds between everybody. Philo on a fantastic drive, carrying the 5/10 of a second penalty, but still leading the pack in that Corvette. Going into it right now, jumping onto the Nords, so he's off to a real good start. It's really one of those deals where the pace is good. He doesn't necessarily need to push anything like a 758 or any 757s right now to try to, like, you know, really solidify the gap. Is he gonna push to try to bring? You know, the real question is how much can he bring his team back? You know, how much time can he bring back on it as everyone else has started to kind of filter out a little bit more?
You did say it was about 5 minutes off the lead overall. So it's like I said, he must be doing like 24 laps of qualifying to get somewhere close. I don't think he's going to catch 5 minutes alone in this stint. But
no, he's got to put work on it and hope that they can get it in the final stint.
It'll be astronomical if he can do that, but, you know, it could really help him go further up. Because you were saying, what, his team was 7th?
I believe he was sitting in 7th when they started this stint. And
yeah, so, I mean, he'll definitely improve. The team will definitely improve up to maybe 5th, maybe 6th, or maybe even 4th. And I mean, this should be a great one there for what team is that?
Yeah, well, you may not have known you just muted your mic because it sounded like you muted it mid-sentence there, by the way.
Was I fell and the connector, the microphone, the controller fell off the table and the mic came off with it.
Wow.
So I'm trying to put it in a safe place. Now I'm just trying to see what Philo's driving for. Who's he driving for again? A mature racing club. So this will be like a good outing here, or definitely improve from where they are overall in the actual race.
Yeah, and I see when Philo cuts a corner, said corner gets a penalty. Oh, if that would work, there would be so many penalties for every corner I cut. But Philo's in a good spot here. I think 9 seconds after 5 laps, like, realistically, you were never going to get 5 minutes in a race. Like, you would need something crazy. And to be fair, don't sell Ethan or Rotary here short. He's sitting in a comfortable second. Splash is closing the gap down a little bit, though, so that's going to be interesting there for a battle here if Splash can keep bringing it down. Tire wear-wise, they're about the same. Fuel, interesting. The Beamer's a little bit better than the Subaru is on fuel. So,
and that's because Rotary was saving fuel behind Sprinkler.
Yeah, Rotary didn't have to push for so much, for sure. And then Dino was in the last lobby stint too, if I remember correctly. He actually ended up DCing from that lobby, and he was running pretty well in that one. So hopefully his internet stays solid here, and he's able to get all the way through.
And the guy in 6th is catching Dino just ahead.
Yeah, Tim's having a really good pace, and, you know, if you weren't here for it, so anyone who was here for Stint 2 will realize that Tim is clearly driving a default livery. So I can't change the camera angles. Hold on, gotta fix that. But no, not Dino, Tim has one of the nicest liveries. I love this livery. It is, I was talking a lot about it last with all the stripes. It's like, is it one, did someone really take the time to, like, do every single layer to get all these perfect things, or did they just find a really good decal to stretch, and then someone let me know, like, nah, they're just really good at liveries, and it's like, oh, that is just clean. Like, it's so clean it looks default, man. So I love that livery as he is closing that gap down on Dino. Dino probably sees that the
Yeah.
gap behind him's coming down more than the gap in front of him is. So it'd be interesting to see what Sprinkler's able to do. Definitely wants to. You can definitely tell he's wanting to keep the car together. He's driving a little bit more cautious this time than Stint 2. So he is understanding that, don't have to always go for the win, but putting it in the wall is definitely going to cost you time.
I think a guy would be disappointed right now would be Shadow in 8th position. What was it? Where did he qualify? Like 4th or 3rd? He's dropped down to 8th position. So I don't know if he's not too confident around this track. I mean, this is a very daunting racetrack to race here. In fact, I'll tell you what, Scuderia is catching too, so it's not going to be long until that Subaru is going to catch up to the back of that Jag.
Yeah, well, and you also got to remember they don't actually qualify. They're placed in the grid based on how their teammates are doing overall and in the previous stint. So just because someone is necessarily starting the grid in 4th doesn't necessarily mean that they're the fastest pace setter from their team. So he might actually be in a real good position. It's hard to say. He's 8:10s and 8:07s his best. We know the top group are running in the 8:04s and lower, so I think he's running a real good, mid-packed pace right now. It's definitely in the same pace that's Driver's running. It's definitely in the pace that Baggage is running. Tom's a little bit higher on that end, but he's part of the THG crew, and they're just a fantastic fun. I had a lot of fun watching them race in Stint 2. Sleepy has pace, so it's interesting.
I was going to say, going back to Shadow there, his front tyres do look the worst out of the other races, apart from the guys that are pitted for the damage there, but from like 1st down to 11th, it's Shadow's front tyres are looking really worse for wear.
Yeah, the problem is when you get the wear running like this, if he moves his brake balance any more to the back, it's gonna wear the rear more than the front, and you pretty much never want your rears wearing more than your front tires. So he's kind of got the problem there with the Jag, I would say, is definitely that he's getting that wear extra on the front, but if he was to change his brake bias to try to change the wear up, it could start wearing those rear tires, and as soon as your rear tires start to get under about 70-80%, you definitely start feeling them on every single corner exit, and I mean, you got to realize, speed is from corner exit.
Oh, sorry. Dino's down to 6th. He's got damage on the front bumper and the front left. We didn't see that caught on their TV there, but Dino's down to 6th and he's got damage, so he's going to have to pit.
He is, and I was also just notified that Shadow runs with traction control on, which is going to actually wear more on his tires as well, so that's why you're seeing more tire wear on him than the others, because obviously when you're running traction control, it's going to get that extra, it's going to stop the tire spin, but you're going to get all that traction control engaged. And so if you're running no traction control and not constantly spinning your tires, you'll actually save your tires a little bit more than with TCS. But at the same time, if you're faster with TCS on, run TCS. If anyone ever is like, oh, it's not a real, no, like real GT3 cars run ABS and TCS. So anyone who tries to give you some weird 1960s argument about not running TCS and ABS, just tell them to hit the door and check some real racing out, right? Because TCS is faster than non-TCS in real life. Like,
Dino's
you'll see people
didn't make
using
his
it.
Pit stop.
That is probably a mistake, if we're going to be honest. We'll see what kind of time he runs, but
possibly.
he went from an 8:04 to an 8:12. That's an 8-second gain on the lap he took damage on. I mean,
And
that
now,
means
now you got RATD close enough to the back there, so he's going to get 6th position quite soon as they go towards Dunlop downhill. I wonder if that will be a position change going in towards Dunlop. Sorry.
So, also an update real quick on our overall. We've got Philo is sitting in 5th. He's only a minute 40 behind Shadow. This was a little bit outdated, so he's probably gained even more time since. So he is looking to try to get his team all the way back up from 5th into 4th. And I want to say he started 7th, so moving himself all the way into 5th and still having 4th, about a minute out with, what do we have? About 3 hours to go, just under 3 hours to go. So it should be a pretty good battle here.
Scuderia's past Shadow, so now Scuderia's got his Subaru into 8th.
And yeah, Scuderia Driver is also currently 3rd overall in the standings. So, I mean, he's in a position right now where he's netting some pretty good times for his... And honestly, this lobby's pretty quick, all the way down to 8th, and we're still running 8:06s as our best lap. Shadow's in that range. This is a very racy lobby right here. In Stint 2, we were already... we started seeing like the 8:13s, I want to say, around like position 6 and 7, so... we have ourselves a little bit of a battle here for 6th as well. As I am sorry, Tim, I didn't even realize you'd moved into 5th. Oh yeah, I did realize, because Dino gets it a little bit wrong. This is going to be tough. He has damage. He's not going to be able to defend this position. I think he must have forgotten to repair. Like, he couldn't have meant to not repair. You have to know that. Like, the teams would have to tell their teammates, like, repair as soon as you get damage. It's like 20 seconds a lap, if not more.
It's literally going to kill the Viper on this straightaway here, just going over the little brow of the hill, just a little bit of front end action there. It's most of the fast parts of the track is where if you've got damage on, it's really going to kill the car. And you can see R18 trying to go around the outside of the fast going towards the left-hander, and he's got the position now. So that's R18 got it into the 6th position. So that is Team Racing Holland now up into the top 6.
I mean, Dino in the Viper in the slip is barely breaking 160 miles an hour, so yeah, it's a detrimental amount of damage that he's trying to carry right now, and I really hope it was just he got so far up before he realized, oh no, the pits start over there on the G, and just missed the pits, as opposed to like actually coming out thinking that you're gonna like, oh, it's just too long a lap. It just is too much damage to carry, and it's gonna cost a lot of time. So it's definitely turning him into a pretty big recovery race. Now for R18 and Tim, they're probably both like, well, that works for me. I'll take the position for free. It was way easier to pass someone with damage than someone without damage. And Tim's got the gap under 6 seconds here to Sprinkler. So Sprinkler's still losing time to Splash, losing time to Tim. So Sprinkler's looking to fall out of the top 4 if the time keeps coming down like it is. 11 seconds is the lead Filo currently has, so that's solid, but Splash and Rotary, that's coming down more and more too, so we might have a battle for 2nd pretty soon.
Bit of a disappointment here for you. Your favourite car on the field, Lewis, he just did a 9-minute 17.6 the last lap, so I'm wondering if he's made another mistake. He's now 36 seconds away from Shake and Baked now, but it was about less than 10 seconds the last time I checked. So I think Lewis had another moment that's caused him damage. I thought he was nearly sideways through the series of corners there.
Well, you got to understand, when you're beautiful, you don't have to do things quick, right? Have you ever seen someone walk quickly down a runway? No, when you're modeling something and you look as beautiful as this, you take your time. You let people breathe it in. You let them reel it all in, right? So I can understand just taking your time and making sure everyone really gets a good look at something as gorgeous as this. Shake and Bake, though, is taking advantage of it. He's still sitting in 13th, but... oh, actually, never mind. I misread the times. I thought it said 7 seconds. It says 37 seconds.
37, so, yeah, you missed the 3 at the beginning.
He's still got some work to do, but, I mean, consistency. 18, 18, 17, and then clearly he pit for something on lap 4. I'm guessing damage, but how did
that was the damage. That was the damage.
Sleepy, once he got his damage taken down, he's gotten his times going, so he's starting to close that gap down on Tom as well, so... yeah, so in order for Philo to move into 4th, he has to finish 1 minute and 40 seconds ahead of Shadow. Shadow is currently 40 seconds behind him. And if he wanted
so that's about 15 seconds gained there, Tim, to Shadow. 15 seconds is the deficit.
Yeah, and if he loses another minute over the next, 18 laps, or I didn't even do the math, who knows if that's even close to right, then he could end up... amazing race for Philo. He could end up jumping his team into 4th, and to be fair, if he somehow got 3 minutes and 12 seconds ahead of Scuderia Driver, he would jump his team all the way into 3rd. Now, the 140 is possible on Shadow. The 312 would require Driver to, I don't know, maybe drive backwards for a lap and stuff. Like, that is a lot of time gained. I
have to say, looking at Tim in 5th position, his tyres are still looking relatively fresh, even though we're 6 laps old into this race, and I'm guessing he's still saving fuel on this run alone. And if he's saving fuel, I mean, he's only just down to 50%, well, just less than 50% on fuel. So I'm guessing he's still probably saving fuel along the way, but he's still catching Sprinkler in 4th position.
That is interesting. He is short-shifting the BMW here, and to be fair, I should probably look at the torque ratio and see where its optimum shift is, but I've always kind of lived in the world of you shift a BMW like in the upper 80s, lower 90% of its rev meter, and I mean, watching this, I'm kind of thinking, maybe you can get away with short-shifting in BMW a little bit more,
Usually... And he's improving every lap too. You see the lap times there, apart from the moment on lap 1, 8:21, but look at that, 8:05.9, 8:04.8, 8:04.2, 8:03.5. So he's getting confidence lap by lap.
Yeah, he's starting to really get it in there, and it's impressive. Again, like I was saying, his times are good enough that it's, I might need to reevaluate what I think a proper shift in the BMW is, because he's keeping his pace going pretty well. And it doesn't seem like he's revving that shifter all the way out, as he can clearly see Sprinkler in front of him. And so it looks like shift. Okay, R18 I think might know about the Supra's torque, because the Supra usually shifts about 50-60% on the rev meter. You can
in the pits.
You can rev it out to about 75, but you don't really necessarily need to. I don't think we're going to see Graham or Rotary come in here. Yeah, I wouldn't imagine. I wonder what Philo's strategy is. Yeah, no, they shouldn't yet. Does Philo
I think Rory's good to go for like another 2, maybe 3 laps or so.
I don't know that he'll run his fuel all the way down. You don't want to have your tires go over into the fall-off range. You might as well just go in and take the 50% fuel. So I think we'll see him come in probably around 20 to 18% fuel, somewhere in there, would be my guess. I mean, he could run it all the way to 0. Yeah, we do have the 7, 8, and 9 group all jumping in. None of them with the... Oh, no, that's not true. Dino does have that damage, so he has 5... I see why he stayed out.
He's going to have to fix it.
I see why he stayed out. He only had 1 more lap on his stint. And so, is it better to keep your strategy the way it is and lose another 14 seconds or another 20 seconds? Or is it better to pit, not lose that time, but add another pit on later, with the new pit windows being as long as they are? All right, Dino, I see what you're doing. That's smart thinking, because you're going to lose so much time adding a pit that you might not want to do that, and you might as well just take the 20-second loss. It'll actually lose you less time. I think...
I was looking at Dino before they were going on the straightaway, because Scuderia driver was getting close to the back of it, and of course, when having to fix the damage, now Scuderia and Shadow has got by, so Dino's down to 10th now. But he's fueled his way all the way to the top.
It is interesting to see Philo coming in on lap 7.
Quite relatively early.
Well, if he comes in on 7, you'd have to expect him to come in on 14 or 15 again. And then that would mean he's coming in on 21 or 22 at the end.
So I'm reckoning there that Rotary's going for a 2-stop in this race, as Philo just scrapes the wall. No damage, though. And Philo's going for a 3-stop.
It's what it's looking like. It does seem like Philo's probably taking the extra stop, which, I mean, I like taking extra stops. It's way safe.
I think when Philo came into the pits, he had 28% of fuel left in the car. So, I mean, he could have done another lap, and then he could have actually done this race in 2 stints then. He would have made 2 pit stops if he pitted in on this lap.
Yeah, we're gonna see how it works out. I wonder if Philo's strategy was based on 30-lap races, and it went to 24, or... Yeah, I'm super curious about that. It seems like the 3-stop isn't... I'm gonna be paying attention to this. That is confusing to me. But I understand, it's gonna get you it gives you the fresher tires, your car's faster, you get to run on a 75% fuel load. I'm just interested. That seems like the 2-stop will be dominant to the 3.
Yeah. Because obviously the pit lane here it's a big pit lane, because you go into the pits after that long straightaway. It's not like when you go on the actual racing track, you go into the pits. No,
they've changed. So you might not have known this from the last update that just came out, but they just changed the pit timers. So it doesn't actually matter how short or long a pit is. They just take like 25 seconds to get into your pit stall now, or 20 seconds to get into your pit stall at some of them. They haven't changed every track, but this track has been changed. So it's definitely, it adds a lot of time on pits now, which is realistic. You know, believe it or not, most pits in GT3 aren't 7 seconds. They usually take a little bit longer than that. But yeah, it's probably better. It is a little bit more realistic, so you know, you have to plan your pits a little more, and that is my worry for Philo, is that, well, an extra pit is like an extra 40 seconds, an extra 30 seconds, I think, is kind of what it comes out to. So if he's planning an extra pit, it means that he needs to get a gap of about an extra 20 or 30 seconds, and he was only at about 11 when he did the first one, so he could do it. It's definitely possible. It just seems... It seems safe.
It was just odd that he pitted quite early. If he did another lap, he would have done 2 stops.
Well, like, to be fair, he can run an extra lap. So finding 1 lap is not going to necessarily change the 3, like, you know, the 3 stint. Because I think we're going to see most everybody else 1 stop, right? He's going to stop twice. 3 stops? 7, 14, 20. I guess he could, huh? I just really don't think they can make it 12, so they're gonna have to 2 stop.
Problem for the racing team Holland R18E has got some back end and back left damage done. And I was going to mention this, the guy, Mr. Baggage, there in 7th position, because we ain't talking a lot about him. He's catching, obviously, because the demise of the Supra's damage. And I'm looking at Baggage's time, and he's been very consistent there. 806, 807s, and the next 2 being 806s. So Baggage has found a bit of a groove at this track.
I mean, yeah, Baggage had a good pace. I said in the stint 2, he had a good pace. He just had a lot of issues at the start. It fell off his laps, and he basically battled into about where he's sitting right now. So if you take those away, he'd have been battling for those top 5s, kind of like he's looking now. Now, if I'm be honest, I guess I'm getting picky about brake bias here, so it must be getting late, because I'm looking at his tire wear.
Splasher's had a moment. Splasher's got engine damage and front right suspension damage.
That's going to open up the door for R18 jumping up into the top 5. Splash is getting caught up by everybody here. Fair play to him. He's doing everything he can to keep the car out of everybody's way right now. So, I mean, that's definitely giving a shout out, because we've seen people take damage and then spend time like blocking the track and stuff like that, and that is not as fair play. This is how you drive, right? You take the damage that's no one's fault but your own, and you get out of people's way, let them go through, and then you get into the pits to recover it. But yeah, that's a recovery race started. Like we said, when we saw damage at the beginning, it was gonna continue. This is not the last damage we're gonna see. You know, we're going to have everybody taking damage at some point. The race I've seen, it usually has over half the field picking it up. So, to be fair, though, Tim is caught 2nd place. Oh, he's going for the move already. He doesn't even want to mess around with it. No, he backed out of it.
Yeah, I think he wanted to do it before the street.
Oh no, Sprinkler! Oh, this is gone!
And gets into him!
Oh no! No damage.
And Philo's gone through to 2nd now.
How?
I think Sprinkler's actually slowing down and lets him go by.
So Philo gets through. Tim is, I am sure he's not super happy about that. And you could just see when Sprinkler caught the grass, if you got to watch it from our angle, like Sprinkler comes off the track and is just flying at the corner, just about to take, and as mad as Tim might be about, like, what are you doing? He has to be sitting there driving down the straight going, how do I not have damage right now? And Sprinkler, on the other hand, has to be going, how do I not have damage right now? What happened? Unbelievable.
And that's
but yeah, fair play. Let him back through.
Yeah, doing the gentleman thing, but he's going to catch the BMW now on the end of the street. Where here he goes, pulls out to the right, and through he goes. So here you are. Again, that's just the power of that Chevy Corvette. Just drives like the BMW wasn't even there. But I mean, both Tim and Sprinkler both hit the wall extremely hard. I'm just amazed that they didn't pick up any damage. They've got no damage at all. Both of them.
I mean,
Oh,
and that's
Spring
just
is coming in now.
that's that kind
Tim's
of
going to
thing
stay
where
out.
we see Splash take damage and he comes off a wall and he's got front suspension, engine, and everything, and we see Tim and Sprinkler go just diving through the corner, both of them getting airborne into a wall, and somehow GT Sport says like, nah, no damage there though. So yeah, it's always kind of a crapshoot a little bit, and you got to get lucky to win races. You got to get lucky to place well, and I mean, I can't even imagine what Philo thought when he came around that corner and second and third just murdered each other. I mean, and you're just like, oh, well, there's two cars I don't have to worry. As long as they don't hit me on my way through here, they're gone now.
I think Philo must be thanking his lucky stars too, because he was coming so quick and like he was blitzing by, and it's a good thing that Sprinkler was ghosted, because if he wasn't ghosted, he would have smashed into the back of him, and then that would have been an even more of a disaster for Philo.
Yeah, that was definitely a dangerous spot that could have caught him up bad. We do see Splash comes in to clean up his damage. It took him a while to get there. It is going to be a recovery race for sure. Luckily, the majority of the race is still to go, so he's getting the fuel in, he's got his pit stop, and it's just, bad luck. Maybe if I was going to give anything, I'd pick on the brake bias, I'd move it a little bit to the front so that you don't have that wheel spin in the back, but, I mean, that's being super picky. That's about as good a tire wear as you can get right there, so I don't even know what I'm picking on there. But R18, you said he had that spin in the Supra, so he got his damage repaired back onto those softs. Dino got his damage all repaired, and to be fair, Dino can see Shadow and Driver right in front of him, so Dino's definitely got some positions left to gain here. Sprinkler, we'll see if he can get that pace to start battling back up with Baggage, as Baggage has moved on by him as well. Sprinkler did
Baggage
just pit,
is yet
though.
to pit, though.
Yeah. Sprinkler did just pit, so Baggage will end up getting that back, and it's interesting that his back tires are wearing more than his front tires in the Porsche. I would think that's a brake bias issue, and it just scares me when the back tires are more worn than the front, because every corner that you're trying to get out of, you're trying to get on the accelerator, which means you're shifting all that weight when you push that accelerator down onto your back tires, and if they're the most worn tires, that means that's the part where you're getting the most wheel slip, so you're losing the most time. But at the same time, if he's comfortable with his tire wear more in the back and he likes having that front wheel grip to really pull him around the corners, I mean, it could just be a driver preference there. But if I was driving this car and I looked at my tire wear like that, I would instantly be like, yeah, let's move that brake bias, because I don't want to wear that side down so much. Like, let's put that a little bit more and wear those front out. But, I mean, to be fair, he's got a gap on Sprinkler. It's a pretty big gap to Tim, but they're both going to pit, so it is a legit gap. Tim has a little bit more fuel, and by a little bit, I mean, like 20% more fuel.
Yeah, I would say roughly about 30% of fuel left.
And then, I mean, yeah, I think for Philo, he's sitting in a position where that's got to be like, been here before. Rotary in first, me in second. I have him completely able to be closed down. He's in my sights, and all we have to see this time from him is just don't put it in a wall. You dodged all the wrecks so far. That was fantastic driving. The fan club is being formed. We just need to make sure we keep it on the track here for about just over 2 hours. Super easy.
Yeah, 1 hour is completed. We've got another 3 hours to go with this, and
well, as it is the end of the first hour, let's go ahead and jump in and check it out. We are coming up on the 8th lap, so anyone who hasn't pitted really should probably be coming in here. I would say the 9th lap would be the most you could really push, but even looking at Rotary's tires, he probably is wanting to change those out pretty soon. So we do have Rotary leading Stint 5, as he was in Stint 2. Almost the exact same situation we had in Stint 2, with TNR Philo sitting in second. Now, Tim, driver of the day right now so far. We'll see if he can keep it together, but he has battled through the entire field into a podium position. He's got more fuel than Baggage behind him, who is chilling in fourth. Sprinkler, who's had a little bit of a slip in time, but he has pit. The people ahead of him have not pit, so expect him to jump back up into that podium battle.
Philo has.
Well, Tim Lore.
Except for Philo. Philo's pitted.
Yeah. So Philo won't, but we're never talking Philo. Philo's a mile ahead of everybody right now, right? Philo is in his own race. Okay. Driver's currently sitting in sixth, and his team was sitting in third at the start of the race. So he's doing everything he can to keep his team from getting caught up to. And if it can potentially gain on anyone, he's sitting in a pretty good position. Shadow, hanging out in seventh, had a little bit of a rough start, but sitting in a good spot now with a decent gap. R18 was really pulling really good times there. Took a little bit of damage that cost him some. Dino took an insane amount of damage, so he had to go get that repaired. So he's now back on the hunt as he has closed up this gap to R18. We see Splash, who we saw take all the damage on the track, and so he had to go repair everything. That took him a while, so he's in a full recovery race. So we're going to keep an eye on this because I always love watching a recovery race. Tom, who's just really been kind of an example of consistency, just sitting barely outside the top 10. Sleepy, who had a little bit of an issue there at the start. We can see that 49, that was a damaged lap. It looks like he took a damaged lap on lap 6 as well. So Shake and Bake's taking a damaged lap on lap 4, it looks like as well, and having a little bit more trouble with it. And then we know Lewis has taken a couple of damaged laps. So the back three are still trying to make sure they keep their cars clean around the track as we look back through everyone. We do have Dino closing down R18. R18's trying to close down Shadow. And I think that is about the closest battle we've got, is the R18 trying to get the gap closed, or Dino trying to get the gap closed on R18. And I mean, it's like when a Viper's chasing you down, you just look in your rearview mirror and it just looks like that car wants to bite you. So I can understand being a little bit scared. Are you with me, Savvy, by the way? Oh, there you are.
Yeah, I'm still here. I'm still here. Yeah, I was just eating my packet of crisps here, just checking it on Philo's lap here. He's gained about, I want to say, like 4 seconds on this lap alone on the leader rotary, but obviously he's on a different pit strategy. But Philo's definitely flying. This is definitely going to be under 8 minutes here.
Yeah, and so, yeah, people are talking about the total time, probably 2 hours and 15 minutes. Well, 24 laps is only 6 laps short of a 4-hour race. And every lap is 8 minutes, so 6 times 8 is 48. So it'll be about 3 hours and 15, roughly, maybe 3 hours and 20, depending on paces. It should be about where the thing hits, if my math is correct there. Anyone is more than welcome to double check that math on me, but I believe an 8-minute lap, 6 laps short of 4, because when we did 30, it was like exactly just over 4 hours to be exact. So I would assume 6 laps short of that would be, you know, roughly 48 minutes shorter. So it'll be just over 3 hours. Important question for the commentary team. What is the best Pringles flavor? Oh, well, that is loaded baked potato. And there's no doubt about Pringles. Okay, so you're gone. Bye-bye. It was nice knowing you. We'll see you. We'll see you.
I'll eat my crisp.
Bye-bye. You're gone. You're done?
Rotary's in the pits.
Rotary's in the pit, so he's come in. Philo's retaking that first place. That was really not that much in doubt. It's really up to Philo not to drive into a wall. Let's just go ahead and call it what it is. His pace is insane. He's next level. If I ever have an event where I need to get carried, Philo will be the carry. That is who I will be calling. But, I mean, you got to keep it out of the wall. So now he's got clean air in front of him. He doesn't have lap traffic for probably a few hours. It's all about just keeping it clean and staying on your strategy. Let's see here. Hindsight is always 20/20, but you know, he says you can't fault Tim for trying to power out of that issue where he got into the corner.
Shadow's got damage now too in 8th position.
Oh, I mean,
on this lap alone, R18E's just gained 2 positions because of the other drivers picking up damage.
I mean, that'll work, and I mean, I think we'll probably see Shadow jump in right here to repair it. I don't know. Maybe the teams have come up with an idea that's staying out of... Yeah, okay. Didn't think so.
Shadow's going in.
I was like, I still think Dino just missed. Did Dino have damage? Oh, no,
yeah, Dino had damage, yeah.
All right, Dino's got damage, so we've got people coming in to fix their damage. This is good for anybody who is battling back here trying to close down time. As, to be fair, Sleepy has caught up to Tom, and now it's a battle for that 11th position as... That Lexus in the slip is going to close it up fast, but if you close it too early, we've seen it, they can come back at you before you get to the end of this thing, because they'll just use your slip to get you back. Side by side coming down there, that is a beautiful view. Oh, that is real tight. Keep it together, guys. Let's not kill anyone. But they get it through.
Sleepy's through.
Oh, I bet you. Right now, Tom's got to be like, bro, a little bit more room next time. I had to put 2 tires on the grass to fit there. But he is through, and we've also got Shadow closing back up to Dino, which should have Splash nearby because they all came in together. Yep, Splash has got a little bit of a gap. Splash, if I remember correctly, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think he was 10th after he came out of the pits, so he's already found 2 positions on his recovery race so far.
And that'll be because Dino and Shadow were fixing their damage in the pits.
Yeah, and Baggage is out of the pits now. He's gone full fuel. That's interesting. I've been seeing a lot of people go 75% fuel on their pit stop, like we see R18 and some other people have done. Tim, did he go full fuel? No, it looks like he went short as well. So it's interesting to see Baggage filling it all the way up. Most everybody else isn't taking that extra fuel because they know it's getting wasted. So like if I know this lap is 8 minutes and I have at my last lap, I have 13 minutes of fuel. Well, there's 5 minutes of fuel I don't need. So if I can get rid of that, I'll actually be faster. So I wonder if Baggage has got a strategy based around filling all the way full, or if he just isn't comfortable saving, like cutting that half a lap worth of fuel up so he can rev out a little bit more. Because a lot of people are saving the time by under-fueling themselves and not taking that extra weight. And to be fair, Scuderia driver all the way up into 5th, so he is definitely trying to be consistent to make sure his team stays in a good position.
Yeah, I think you say that he was, third overall in this race alone. Got punted in on the second lap, and it's a good recovery up to into the top 5.
And, I mean, Sprinkler back into 3rd, so he's gotten a little bit of his pace down. The pits have all circulated their way out as well. And so, we'll see if Tim can close that gap back down again. And we'll see exactly how Tim makes the move if he does close it back down. Because last time he got by him, he ended up getting murdered by him. So, and I'm sure Sprinkler probably did not mean to. We all saw it live on stream. And once you go off, there's nothing you can really do at that point. And just like the guy said about hindsight's always 20/20, but you can't fault Tim for staying in the power there. And it is, like, your car's going sideways. You got no choice. You got to just go for it. You see that he's off the track. You hope he misses you, but you can't just come to a dead stop and, you got to still stay in it there. Yeah, hindsight, maybe if I brake, he goes flying by and I cut underneath him, but like you said, it's always 20/20. You don't want to you can't brake because what if he sticks it and all of a sudden you gave the position up? You fought too hard for it. So they got lucky to get away with it. And, I mean, I guarantee you Rotary is sitting in a real pretty position. He had a 6-second lead over Sprinkler, his team, coming into this. So if he can keep this together...
It's gone over to 13 seconds, so it's going to improve a lot now because of that mistake with Sprinkler.
If I recall, he's racing with all the SBR. Is that... Who's he racing with?
Yeah, he's racing with... McEwen, Liam, and Edwards. I forgot his name. Vulcan. Yes, Vulcan.
Oh,
who did that last stint?
It is the people from the SBR group. Well, I mean, that would mean that going into the final stint, they would be leading if he can keep it together. So he usually listens to the stream, I think. So, no pressure or anything, but you could be setting your team up to be leading into the final stint here if you can keep it together for almost exactly 2 hours now, I think. It should be roughly right where we're at. So...
And also as well, we should say a big thank you to Rotary because he's been hosting this lobby because obviously with the problems that we had, how the servers have been quite crap, early on in this race, and I think it was Ethan that's put this lobby back up, and I mean it's running fine now, isn't it? So big thank you to Rotary for stepping up and then making this lobby a lot better as it was early on in the day.
Absolutely. I mean, to be fair, every lobby we kept trying to put up just didn't seem to work, and he stuck it out the whole time. And, a huge shout out to Rob, and I think maybe a few other people like Liam also, and I know the commentators helped out and everything, and all the drivers have been super helpful. So really, for everyone making this happen and get together, give yourself a huge round of applause. Like that, this is a tough thing. 24 hours, an entire straight race, and on the same time, PSN's crapping out and still getting it together, still getting it done. That is absolutely, just fantastic. So, big shout out to Rob, big shout out to everyone who put any work into this. Huge shout out to Rotary for taking care of everything. And to be fair, if you guys have been enjoying this and everything, we're racing here, race against Dementia. So, All the donations and everything will go to that. And yeah, just doing this for a fun time with charity. So I hope everyone watching is having a good time. I hope everyone driving is having a good time. And we're just kind of sitting here on this stint waiting for the pitch strategies to kind of start to work their way out. The battle for second is going to probably continue to close down, I would think. We'll see what Splash can do. We'll see if he's able to close that gap down. He was battling all the way up near the top, but that damage definitely put him in a setback. Baggage is looking good too, though, so now that he's got fuel, we can see if he can catch that pace back up to R18. And kind of like you said, R18's kind of just taking a whole bunch of free passes so far. Everyone just keeps taking damage around him.
I was just about to say there too. This was also 2 months in the making and doing this as well, wasn't it?
I want to say he originally said something about it maybe back in January or maybe at the very start of February, but I think it was back in January because I remember when he first asked me about it, I said, I'm absolutely down. That's something that's near and dear to my heart, so I'd love to work with that. But if my racing league is racing that week, I won't be able to because I'll be in a race for part of it and stuff, and I don't want to tell you. So as soon as they released my racing schedule and I looked at that date and it was an off week, I was instantly just like, yeah, sign me up. That sounds like so much fun. It seems like Sprinkler's getting closed down to by Tim. Tim's already got it back within a second, so that's about the closest on-track battle that we're currently looking at. There is some gaps here. We'll probably start to get an update at some point about where everybody's sitting in the overall standings, so we'll be able to kind of start to track that down a little bit. But right now we've got R18 sitting comfortable. Scuda sitting very comfortable in 5th. Last time I saw him, I thought he was in 6th. Tim must have made a little mistake. He didn't make a little mistake. He's in the BMW on a straight line against a Corvette, so he lost half a second just trying to go as fast as he does. But I would say give it another lap or two if Tim can keep his pace, kind of like it is. We got 803s coming from Sprinkler, and this is an out lap, so 801, but that's an out lap, so hard to say whether that's legit or not for times, but it is a gain on it. Franken says, go team pace.
That's Sleepy's team, that is. See if he's catching up to Shadow.
He's got it down within back. 12, and you might look at 12 and be like, well, that's a pretty big gap, but it's actually coming down. He's been bringing it down. I think he was as far back as 13th after lap 1, so he's definitely been closing it down. We'll get a rough standings in around 2 hours as well, he says. Nice.
I think, okay, no, I thought Tom had damage, but no, he doesn't. My bad. It looks like Sleepy's getting quicker on this lap. Oh no, he's lost time, my bad.
Yeah, I mean, Tom's having himself a great race, and once Shake and Baked got his control under, and he hasn't really taken any damage since then, so if he can keep it clean here, he's got a minute gap, but man, I'm telling you, don't trust minute gaps for anything. People punt themselves off of walls and lose insane amounts of time. People forget to pit with engine damage and stuff like that. So you just really never know what's going to happen. Last race, I had literally written down the entire starting grid because no position had changed in like 12 laps. And then the last lap, there's like 7 position changes. So yeah, as long as you keep your head down, keep focusing on your race, you just really never know when it's going to become time to... the whole track's just going to wreck in front of you, and all of a sudden you're going to go from 6th to 3rd or something like that.
I think Dino's starting to get in a bit now. He's starting to clutch up to the back of Splashes. That's going to be a battle for 8th quite soon.
Yeah, so the battle for 8th, we've also got Tim closing it down on Sprinkler, and you can just look sometimes at the way people drive, and you can just tell Tim's pushing. He's almost a full second up on his best lap right now. And yeah, he definitely wants that podium. He doesn't want to sit back here. The one time he got by Sprinkler, he got taken out. So, that still leaves a little bit of bad taste in your mouth. And so, I mean, he's got it down under 2 seconds now, 1.7. He's got a lot of track after this big straight right here to catch up to, where the BMW is going to be real aggressive compared to the Corvette. This part of the track, the Corvette, it's funny because you feel so fast when you're flying through here because it's just so flat out. And this section feels so good in a Corvette. It's pushing its 6th gear. You can see he's pushing over 160, getting close to maxing it out. And then you hit this insanity, and you'll see that it's just not gonna, he's actually real smooth with it. And yeah, this is just not where a Corvette is masterful. And as we can see behind him, he hit this as good as you can hit it, and the gap came down 0.2 of a second from Tim. Just because it's what this BMW does. BMWs fly through those kind of corners where I am a genius. I did that like 4 times last race. So it's going to be interesting to see if Tim can really exploit some of these quicker corners and just take advantage of the fact that you're not going to pass the BMW most likely, or the BMW, you're not going to pass the Corvette most likely on a real long straight without a mistake where you get an acceleration advantage or just some sort of weird slipstream timing where you're the last person to slip back by them. Because usually it's just tough. The Vet has so much power. In the slipstream, it can get off so fast that it'll just go right back by you. Like you'll get by it for a second, and then the Corvette will be like, "And I got slipped now, so I go way faster."
I'm just riding the board here with Tim, and just so smooth he is. Still short shifting up through the gears in that BMW, and he's still getting quicker on this lap alone. And he's not even in the slipstream of Sprinkler because he's 1.5 seconds ahead. But he's just driving a flawless race. And I know we mentioned about the mistake that he did in the first lap. He's driving beautifully.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely, like I said, when you can look at a driver a lot of times and just see by their driving how much are they extending the track going into braking zones compared to the people they're driving around. Like, how close are they putting those outside wheels to the outside of the track to really try to open up corners and stuff. And we've been watching Tim go around, and that's what he's doing. He's putting his tires right against the apex. He's putting his tires right on the exit. And that's the kind of things you can look at when you're watching in the rearview mirror. If you're ever trying to figure out, like, how do people find out when someone's pushing, how much are they extending the track? How much are they opening their car up? Like, how much are they diving on those apexes? And so when you're seeing Tim literally touch tires on every single apex and run all the way out on the exits all the way, he's actually starting to shorten it up a little bit through there. That's how you can just tell when you're looking in the rearview mirror that he's clearly pushing. Like, he's putting his tires in places that if he goes an inch too far, it's going to be out of control. But if he hits the line perfect, it's going to be fast. And looking on board here with Rotary as well, as we haven't looked at him in a while, the gap to Sprinkler is not as big as I kind of thought it was going to be. It's only 12 seconds, so...
It's roughly stayed the same since Rotary came out the pits, so it's been good. You know, it's been roughly going about the same. I was just about to mention there too. We're going to have ourselves a battle for the 13th place between Shake and Baked and Lewis. There's only 2.5 seconds separating those two.
Well, yeah, Lewis has kind of been on a hunt. You know, we said he started out and he took the bad lap, and then he actually ended up taking another one. But ever since he's been out, he's been running the low 811s. And as we look up, you can see the Shake and Bake is not competing with those 811s. Lewis will get him for sure with the paces they see right now. Now, what'll be interesting to watch, because there is, 14 and a half laps or so to go, Tom's pace could get caught by Lewis if Lewis can keep his pace up, because he would be gaining 2-3 seconds a lap potentially. So that's going to be a minute times 14. Oh, it's going to be short. So he would probably get within about 15-20 seconds of Tom on the paces they have right now, which means technically Tom can't make an extra pit. He can't take damage. That would actually put him back into Lewis's grasp, assuming he can get by Shake and Bake with some sort of both clean and quickly. Let's see here. We've got Dino still trying to close down Splashes. He has moved on by 15 seconds past Shadow. Baggage still looking clean, but has a decent gap to R18. The pits are a little different, so R18 will go in first, but they're just on 2 completely different strategies right now, so it's hard to say where they're actually standing on the track against each other. We've got Driver sitting in 5th, and again, he's had a really good drive. We'll see if he can maintain that, but that'll definitely bring a good time in to help his team out to, maintain that third, fourth, second position area. And that gap's actually still coming down a little bit from second. Rotary's only at the 12-second mark now against Sprinkler. And Tim's got it all the way down to 1.4 seconds, so Tim's still bringing it down.
Yeah, this is going to be a fast lap here for Tim. This is going to be like a low 8:01, I reckon. When he comes across the line, by far his best lap. There you go, at 8:01.8. Yeah, so he's 1.7 seconds quicker than what he did on lap 5 of an 8:03.5. So Tim is he's got the magnets catching up onto the sprinkler just ahead of him.
Yeah, it's just about keeping that patience. A lot of times you can see gaps like 1.8 seconds and start wanting it to close down. But really, the fact is there's different parts. There's part of the track that you're going to be quicker on. There's a part of the track that they're going to be quicker on. And you just got to wait until you get to the part where you can actually catch up. Because if you're running in, an 8:01 and he's running an 8:02, I mean, to be fair, he caught him by 0.4 of a second over that entire lap. So if he keeps that up, it's going to take him 4 or 5 laps to close that gap down. So these paces between the two of them, I mean, they're identical at this point. So it's going to be a slow roll for him to close it all the way down, but he definitely has the speed to do it if he can keep it together. And their pace is closing the gap down on Rotary as well. So as he goes blue here, I think he realized he needs to probably start pushing a little bit because the gap was about to go under 12 seconds. And, you definitely want to keep your gaps nice and comfy.
Well, I think as it stands now going into the last stint, I'd say Rotary, the SBR team will have roughly about a 20-second advantage over GTAS when they come onto the last sprint. So it's still pretty much a decent gap to have going into the final sprint.
I mean, I think any gap is an acceptable gap for sure, and I don't think he'd be upset, but there's, as much as a driver you tell yourself, don't look at times, don't look at times, don't look at times, we all look at the times. It's just not possible not to. We all look at the times. And I'll tell you right now, my best races ever, they'll be like, what'd you do? I'll be like, dude, I forgot to look at the times. I just didn't pay attention to them, and I had the best race I ever had. Where the race where you're like, all right, I lost a 10th in that corner. Oh, I gained a 10th there. Oh, I lost half a 10th there. And you're paying so much attention to your times that you lose it. That's what you don't want. But yeah, it's clear that he noticed that gap was coming down and he was slipping, because you can just look at his times where he ran like an 8:01, gained a little bit, and then it's an 8:03, and now he's back on pace again, bringing that gap back up. So I think he just kind of realized he took a lap off there on lap 10, and that was costing him too much time. And so now he's kind of stepped it back down, put the pedal all the way down, and yeah, he's bringing that gap back up. Tim, on the other hand, bringing that gap down to Sprinkler.
And this can actually help Rotary in the process too, because if Tim can catch up Sprinkler may go a little bit more defensive on Tim, and then if Sprinkler does that, he's going to lose even more time when they go into the final stint, where it will possibly be Matt McHale is going to make the last stint, and Liam, I believe, is going to make the last stint for Rotary's team. So that gap could extend even more if Tim can get a little bit closer to the back of the GTAS car.
I mean, it's funny. I can't even imagine how tired the drivers are, but I'm also tired. But just seeing how it started to shape out means, like, you just got to watch Stint 6 at this point. You're telling me there's going to be two people on the track driving within, like, 18 seconds of each other on a 24-hour race, and just an absolute, like, oh, man. This is shaping up to be an amazing race, but the fact is that we're only halfway through this race, so, we're going to come up on just about that 3-hour mark for the time on this race. Philo will be somewhere around a minute ahead of everybody at that point. Remember, we said it was a joke that he'd be 5 minutes ahead, and he's already 40 seconds ahead halfway through, so he's looking at being, like, almost a minute and a half of everybody, which is why he's getting a fan club. Let's look at him for a second and make sure he gets his stream time, because he deserves it being this far ahead. He earned a win in race 2, but then he threw it away by giving himself too much damage. And now he's trying to come back and show, like, yeah, look, I got this. So, absolutely flying. But, when it comes to the overall standings, Rotary's doing what he needs to do. He's building that gap up, and every little bit that he builds up right here... Who?
Sorry, I was just looking at the battle there for third with Sprinkler and Tim, because Tim was very close to the back. He put it down to about half a second, made a mistake a few corners ago, and now that gap has gone up again. So Sprinkler can breathe a sigh of relief for now, but I don't know if that's going to hurt Tim's momentum now as they're coming on towards this fast part of the track, which obviously helped the Chevrolet.
This part, yeah, it's very good. The only thing that I would say is a little bit iffy is the very end of this section. the BMW actually just fits through this final left-hander and then that final right-hander into the big turnaround to the carousel really well. So while its top speed isn't fantastic, it can keep a lot of speed through these corners where we'll see the Corvette probably lifting. I was a little late switching over to him. The Corvette's probably having to lift a little bit more, even maybe tap the brakes through some of this stuff to really get the rotation. The Beamer's not going to have that, so it's one of those corners, or it's one of those sections where even though it's a straight line speed, the Beamer does have some things it can do to try to close that gap down a little bit there, and it kind of looks like he did that. It was 1.8, now it's down to 1.6, kind of climbing back up now as he got out of carousel wrong, but I think you were right when you said this is what Rotary wants to see. The more they battle, the more he gaps them. The more he gaps them, the less pressure, the more pressure he's taking off of Liam for that final stint. Like, you know, the bigger that gap is, the less pressure it is on Liam to keep it, you know, in certain positions and stuff. Tim trying to close that gap back down on Sprinkler, though. It's already back under 1.5 seconds. This is a good part of the track for him, so he should be able to really push it, as we'll see how hard he's really driving the car all the way on the outside there. Early on the throttle through here. Let's see if he runs it all the way out to the gravel. Alright, so he's being a little bit cautious. He's not full sending it here. See if he runs 2 tires wide here. Yeah, okay, so he's like on the edge of full send right now. He's not fully there. Is he going to put a tire on the curb? Yeah, okay, so he's like right at full send trying to close this gap down. You can see he's definitely opening. I think he didn't intentionally not open up that one corner. I think he just, yeah, he's fully opening these things up right now. So he's fully on the track. You can see he's literally putting his tires like right against everything. But to be fair, right in front of him, we're watching Sprinkler do the exact same thing. So they're both kind of on the edge trying to push as much as they can, just swinging and winding through this quick section. But guess who's caught that slipstream for the big, long, straight section? So this is going to be interesting watching him close it down here. I mean, he is right on there going through the mini carousel. I wonder if he's noticed, though, if he gets the pass too early on the slipstream, it's just going to let Sprinkler jump right back in his and just battle him right back. I wonder how he times this. Or, to be fair, can he keep it? He's on the edge of it right now. Okay, he kept it. He kept it. Yeah, but he's a tenth from losing it. I think he's actually doing it maybe on purpose, and maybe not necessarily this far on purpose, but I don't think he wanted to be right behind him because you want to get that full pull so that you can get all the way up on your speed. Because look, he's 171 going up the hill, 172 compared to 166, so he's really trying to get that slingshot. He's really starting to close it down as he comes in through here. Oh, he's looking for that side. Not quite enough overlap. I think if you keep it close here, you might be able to make the run into turn 1, though. So, and that's a better section to pass in the BMW. He'll have a couple more corners to take advantage of, so he might be just keeping it patient.
I think Tim's going to get the run going into what's Castro S, the first corner. I think that's where he's going to make the move here because he's all over the
defensive?
Back. I don't think he's going to. I think he's... Yeah, here he goes to the inside of Castro S. And no, Tim... Oh, nearly gets into him.
I think he nicked him. Any damage? Nothing. These guys are the luckiest with damage.
Yeah. I mean, them two had their moment back at lap 7 when they both kissed the wall and luckily had no damage on both of their cars. So, you know, they're definitely cutting a fine line here. Of course, driver fatigue is going to come into play now because at the moment the time here stands at, you know, coming up 4:05 in the morning. So, you know, hopefully that's not going to play a part in all of these drivers here because I was just about to notice there too that Shadow is now down to 12th position in his Jag, so he must have made another pit stop because he must have had damage in his car. And now that allowed Sleepy to get into the top 10, and now Tom's up another spot in 11th.
Sleepy into the top 10, Tom into 11th. That's exciting. I think Shadow did just do a scheduled pit stop. I'm not 100% sure that was a... Oh, no, it probably was a damaged pit stop. I see his pit on lap 6 now. So he probably wanted to go about another 1 or 2 laps before pitting, so... Oh, wow, he's going to pit on lap 8 as well. So, yes, Shadow's had a little bit of trouble with damage. It looks like he took damage on lap 6, lap 8, and lap 10, potentially. Lap 10 may have been a normal pit, to be fair. And he just may have never taken fuel or anything on the repairs. So he may have just gone in and repaired on lap 6, gone and repaired on lap 8, and then lap 10 he actually needed to go in for fuel and stuff. So that might be what caught him back there, but he definitely, he is catching up to Tom, though. Look at that gap, just a little half second, as Tom is letting him go by on the outside, battling on the inside. I wonder if Tom's going to try to battle back into turn 1 here, if he's just going to slip in. Looks like he's keeping on the inside. I think he stayed on the inside just to keep it clean.
He just eased off. Tom just eased off the throttle going into the first corner.
I mean, it's a smart way to drive. It keeps your car clean, and there's literally 40 seconds. Anyone who's within 40 seconds of you, you pass if they take massive damage. So it's not a bad idea. Just keep it clean. Let someone else make a mistake. You've seen people go in. Splash looking to battle for 7th. Let's talk about this guy's recovery race. He had maybe the most damage we've seen so far. We missed what happened. We think he may have just gone off into the walls at one of the corners. He may have gotten help. You never fully know. But he got in the pits. It took him forever to get there. You can see that lap time of 9:49 because he took massive engine damage and limped around the entire track. So if you think about the fact that he almost added 2 minutes to his lap time, and he's less than 2 minutes back of first, I might be wrong. We might have another alien on our toes here. He's running 8:04, so his times aren't like insane. He's not under the 8 minutes, but they're consistent, and that's what matters. They're fast enough to keep up with everybody in the top, 4, 5 range. So I wouldn't be too surprised if we can't see Splash possibly starting to catch up to a couple of people here. If mistakes start to come in, he's closing the gap on baggage a little bit as well.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised by Splash because we did see him up in the top, like battling with Rotary and Sprinkler when them two were like battling together. But I'm just amazed that he's not actually catching up with baggage, even though he had that little mistake. So I wonder if that moment that he had on lap 7 has actually really dented his confidence. Because I would have thought he would have catch baggage in R18E quite a lot, but it's been pretty much been roughly about the same time as it's been for the last 2 or so laps.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's gotten in a group of he's ended up in roughly his pace zone, right? So, like, if we look at his pace at the 803s, 804s, let's not pretend like that's a slow time. That is a very fast time, right? And then if you just kind of scroll through, baggage, 805s, scroll through, R18, 804s, 803s, 802s, driver, 804s, 805s, Tim. Okay, Tim's on a mission. Let's just go ahead and be honest about his times. Tim's doing something else right now. All right, so
actually, Tim's getting very close to Sprinkler.
Yeah, he's all. Yeah, we've been watching. The stream's been watching this battle while we've been discussing some of the other stuff. So he has been closing that gap down, and Tim's on his own mission. But yeah, I think Splash is right there in that 4th, 5th range. He's technically running similar laps to even like Rotary and better laps than some of Sprinkler's here, especially. So I think he has that 2nd to 7th range, as they all kind of have the same pace right here. It's just he took the most damage so far, so he's the one who's on the most of a recovery race so far. But, I mean, he's done a fantastic job, worked his way all the way up to 8th. We should see him battling for 7th here soon. I would love to check the gap, but currently the gap is like 0.0 between 3rd and 4th, and Tim, they're coming into the carousel, and this is getting closer to where we saw the big mistake last time, so I wonder if Tim's going to try to put a similar kind of pressure on him through those areas, or if he wants to try to get it done somewhere else, because last time it ended in disaster when he got a move done here on the last part of the track. But he has closed the gap up, so he's right back where he was, 2 laps ago.
I'm just looking here at Lewis in last position. He's lost a lot of ground to Shake and Bake. It's now 20 seconds. Just looking at his last lap, he did an 8:28.8, which is 18 seconds slower than his fastest lap. So Lewis made a mistake on the last lap because he was about 2 seconds behind Shake and Bake. Then obviously he's made that little, well, not little, a big mistake, and it's now got up to nearly 20 seconds away from the Whiskey Bandit Racing Mazda.
I mean, that's tough. It is as we see Tim starting okay, now he felt back in. It is a tough track. It is of attrition, and there will be someone who makes too many mistakes. There's always going to be, every NERB, you're going to have someone who knows the track and makes too many mistakes and ends up falling way off the pace. So, I mean, the main thing is to just realize we're only halfway through. You got an hour and 30 minutes to go. and there's just so much time ahead that you just have no idea. So the main thing is to like try to limit the mistakes as much as you can. Start focusing on the parts that you know, don't miss your brakes, don't miss your turn-ins and all that stuff. And then really, like I promised, if you just focus on just your race and you don't pay attention to all the other stuff, by the end of the race, you'll say you had a pretty good one. Oh.
Leader's coming in this time by.
It should be about the time that Philo pits. I don't know that Rotary's
coming in right
going to come in. Rotary will probably stay out again, but I don't think he's going to pass him before he comes out of the pits.
Rotary pitted in on lap 8 or 9, so he's good to go for another 5 or 6 laps, roughly.
Sprinkler may be sneaking in the pits here, and Tim won't be. Tim will definitely be going longer, but I wonder if he's going to lift or if he's going to be aggressive here. I still think the better opportunity is to try to follow him all the way into the second turn, just because it's so likely that he's going to use the slip against you here. Yeah, but he's going to use the slip back against him, and he's got the second straight to use it against him as well, so I just don't know that this ends up the best for him. I feel like the vet's going to get him going into turn 1 if he doesn't find him. Yeah, I just feel like the vet's in a good spot if he can keep it clean through here. It's really up to Tim. To not lose. If Tim can hold through turn 1, he has a really good position. I wonder if he goes defensive. He's keeping it high. He's not signaling defensive. And there he goes. He's going to make the move. He's got to. The Corvette can't follow. He'll lose out to the Beamer when he gets into the real technical part. He's got to try to make this move stick. He's got to keep him behind him. He gives him room, but he's going to have the acceleration maybe. Yeah, he does. He goes through. So that is not what Tim wants. Tim technically has one corner, the one he's coming up on here at the end, where he can do the hairpin to make a move, and then you can't do much in the Schumacher S. You can't do much going through any of the left and rights through there. Technically, you can make a move into the chicane, but not this one. This one's a hard one to make a move into, so it might be one of those situations where unless Sprinkler makes a mistake, once again, Tim's going to have to...
tried it, Dunlop.
Oh, this is where you do it. This is one of the positions. Oh, are you going to keep it too wide through Schumacher? You guys aren't, right? Someone's going to back out. Oh, he cut it off!
I don't think Tim... that wasn't shut. He slammed it. He slammed that door.
Oh, he said, no, we are going single file through this, or we are...
Oh, and Tim cut him back!
Tim cut him back!
This is where he wants to get it. There's contact! Tim's through. Tim's back through. And this is going to allow Rotary, the gap between himself to Sprinkler is going to increase now.
Is Sprinkler going to try to make a move into the chicane? No, no way.
No,
you can't
he's
do
too
it
far
here.
back at the Vido. Too far back at the Vido chicane.
I mean, this is exactly what Tim needs. You know, he has the car that's better in the technical sections. They're going into the technical sections. And this is where the Corvette has trouble in dirty air. It's just the way it is. Its tires aren't the best. Let's see how he's looking. Yeah, his tires aren't looking good. The dirty air is going to throw him around. And to be fair, if Tim can separate out by the end of the lap, there's just not... Oh, they're coming up on lap traffic. This could be dangerous. Is that lap traffic? Oh, no, I'm looking at the wrong person. Holy crap, that's Tim. I am out of my mind. Guys, what time is it? I think I need to go to bed. Oh, I'm like, they're coming up on lap traffic. No, that's definitely just the person they're racing. So, yeah, it cost them both a lot of time. If we look at their laps, Sprinkler dropped down to the 804s. Tim dropped into the 803s. So they battled for a lot, and that really let that gap for Rotary really stretch out. But, I mean, if you're in his position now, it's a different person in third, so now you got to worry about that time coming down to him.
Battle for 7th place between the two Subaru teams. Scuderia driver who just come out of the pits, and now he's got a lot of pressure from Splash in there. And just up ahead there is Baggage, so... Splash is starting to find his groove back again in the track because they are catching Baggage. Down to 3 seconds now.
Yeah, well, Scuderia just came out of the pits. He's got fresh tires and fresh fuel, so it'll be interesting to see if Splash has the pace to make any kind of moves on him when the tire difference is like this and the fuel's kind of all different. He's got less fuel but worse tires, so it's kind of a give and take kind of situation there. I'm impressed these Subarus are so quick around here. I'm not going to lie. I'm pretty sure at the beginning of Stint 1, I was just like, why are people driving Subarus? This is the dumbest thing I've ever seen. And now I'm just sitting here like, all right, they're pretty quick around here, I guess. But I feel like they don't go fast enough for me.
Yeah, they're not good on the straight lines. Even the Porsche is quicker than the Subarus. And I know the Porsche is not one of the fastest cars on straightaways. But baggage there. You can see the gap is just slowly increasing. It's back up to 3 seconds now.
So one of the things I've learned about the Porsche is it's not that it lacks top speed, it's that it usually can't get anywhere close to it because it lacks the acceleration to really get there, right? So yeah, the Porsche definitely can out excel or can get to some higher top speeds than a lot of cars. It just usually doesn't get there. You'll notice Porsche drivers stay in fifth gear a lot. They don't use all their gears. They can't really get to their max speed. And so that's where the Porsche lacks on top speed. It's not that it doesn't have a high top speed. It's that there's only like one or two straights in this entire game that they can even get to their top speed on. And even then, it's not fast enough to be a top speed machine, right? But like, yeah, it definitely, it has more speed than you would think a WRX. It has more speed than like, I want to say an RCZ has and stuff like that. So it does have some top speed there.
I was going to say, it's also, the Porsche is not very good on standing starts as well. I remember my one and only season before hanging up my gloves to like going from retirement from online racing. My last season I was driving a Porsche. I remember I did my best qualifying, was like a 7th place at Barcelona. Coming towards the first corner, I was dead last. I was down in 14th because it's how bad the Porsche is at the start.
Yeah, there's a couple of cars that are pretty bad off the start. The Porsche is horrible. The Supra, I'm pretty sure the Supra starts in gear -1. So there's definitely, when it comes to grid starts, like your car can get you quite a bit of pace. And Tim's starting to stretch his legs out in that third position. He's closed the gap under 16 seconds to Rotary. So now Rotary's watching that gap start to come down. That's not a good feeling. That's the first time that gap's been coming down in about 9 laps. So that's the first time you're probably going to see him go, oh. And to be fair, looking at his times, he's kind of been slacking. Look at that, 8:01, then an 8:02, then an 8:03. So, you know, maybe this is kind of the kick in the butt he needed to get it that pace. Oh, I'm looking at the wrong person's times. Jesus, it is late, I guess. Okay, so it was last lap. Rotary just made a little bit of a mistake because he had an 8:01 on 11 and then it went to an 8:03. So technically,
Sprinkler's coming in this time by. He's flashing red on his fuel gauge as well, and the fronts are looking a little bit worse for air. They're falling off the cliff because he's nearly 2.4 seconds a lap slower on that last sector. So Sprinkler's going to come in this time by. I would imagine the BMW's to pit in. Well, I mean, looking at Rotary's fuel, he's just about 40% of fuel left in his car, whereas Tim's around about 37%. So they're going to be pitting, I'd say, roughly about maybe 3 laps time, I reckon.
Yeah, I would say they came in on 8, so they'll probably be coming in around 15 or 16.
15 to 16, and then, yeah.
I don't know how strong the undercut is here. I would guess at best it's going to gain you about a second. Just because you'll have the fresh tires on the lap that they're using those old tires, but then technically you'll kind of lose that second back later because you'll have the old tires when they have the fresh tires. So I don't know if it's really worth.
Sprinkler's got damage!
Oh, front left
Sprinkler
and
does
suspension.
Yeah. I was just looking at the gap there because it was about 9 seconds. I was like, something's happened, and there you can see. And that's obviously not good too for the overall standings. It's going to be a blessing in disguise for SBR at least.
I mean, I'm sure Liam watching the race doesn't wish anything bad on anyone, but when you're pulling for your team, I mean, so we got 14. So Rotary has a 24-second gap, so that would give Liam a almost 30-second lead going into the race. And he just has to hold that 30-second gap plus any other gaps on the other people. We'll get... It may not be Stint 5 for anybody watching. It may be the start of Stint 6. I think there is a tiny break between 5 and 6 where they're going to actually quickly do the math and maybe put the final stint in actual correct order for the total overall standings. I may have misread that, so don't quote me on that or be like, well, Jerry said that, so you guys have to do that now. But I think they might be doing that, so, you know, the way it sets up will be the order it's in, and if it stays as it is, the person in first is going to end up having about a 30-second gap that they have to maintain. So it'll be, I mean, it's going to be a heck of a race here, but the final 4 hours is going to be where it's at, and just the fact they're all going to be that close. As Sprinkler comes into the pits, that is... It's a little bit of a blessing in disguise, the fact that he took the damage on his in lap. Because, yeah, you had to come in to fix it, but you were coming in this lap anyways. So, That's a little bit of a blessing in disguise. Now, what's not a blessing for Rotary is the fact that his second place is starting to get under attack. It's now down to 14 seconds, creeping under 14 seconds, and so that is a 2-second gain over the course of a lap.
I don't think Rotary's going to be too concerned that Tim's catching. I think realistically he's more aware of Sprinkler, and I don't know if he's still watching the stream or anything like that, but Sprinkler's got a damage there, so I mean that gap's going to increase heavily. I don't think I don't know where Tim's team is in the overall standings, but I don't think that's going to be a cause for concern for Rotary.
I race for position on the track as well, so if I was getting closed down by someone and I was in second, I would not want them to pass me regardless. Now, if he's aware that Tim has no chance, it might be a little bit different, but the gap to Sprinkler right now, 1 minute. Rotary has a 1 minute gap over him, so that would mean that Liam would be starting the race with a 1 and 6 second gap on them, and I hate to say it, but I'm going to need to find out who was in third, because they might be currently battling to take that second place.
That was the Scuderia team, wasn't it? That was the
so they won't be
MMR.
taking because he's in seventh. I think what's going to happen is they're going to list off the times, and there is going to be these entire groups of people that are battling each other for that final race. Is a whole bunch of them are going to be within just a few seconds of each other. And how about R18 here? I'm telling you, the THG guys, they just run their strat, they run their race, and he's hanging out in fourth. Granted, he's got a pit coming up soon, and that pit's going to knock him down behind Sprinkler and probably behind Baggage. I mean, this is a pretty little tight group here as Scuderia and Splash are all over each other. Scuderia on the fresh tires. Splash is running out on that pit, so he is going to end up getting gapped as he never quite got back ahead of him, but to be fair, they've closed that gap down on Baggage, so that is definitely, I mean, to be fair, Splash has used this as best he can. He didn't really battle him. He followed him. He kept the gap close. And Sleepy jumping in the pits at 67. He does have damage.
He's got damage.
Yeah, I was like, 67 fuel. That has to be some damage. And this is what we're talking about. This is why it's going to, like, constantly be adjusting, constantly be changing. Because, yeah, he's sitting right now, and the people in the back, people in the front, everybody can potentially pick up huge damage here. We're watching Splash try to close the gap down, but it doesn't seem like he quite has it. Dino, technically only 4 seconds back on a roughly the same strat that Splash is on. So he could close that gap down as well. Who are they catching? Baggage? Yeah. So Baggage inside 2 seconds, so he's probably noticing that gap coming down. I mean, yeah, if I'm Baggage, I definitely... Scudiera, being on the new tires, being on the full tank, that is a pass for sure. Sprinkler probably doesn't realize Scudiera is that close behind Baggage, so Sprinkler is only got about a 12-second lead over Scudiera right now, so... And then it'll come down to where R18 ends up jumping down when he pits. My guess is he'll drop below Sprinkler, Baggage, Scudiera, and Splash. Possibly even Dino. That is a huge group within about 10 seconds of each other. So R18 might end up falling down about 4 or 5 positions here when he does use his pit. And, I mean, we should definitely say Tim has gotten himself closed down on Rotary. It's now under 12 seconds, so... Rotary might not be worried about the overall positional battle here, but I'm sure he's not super stoked about the fact that he's got someone closing down his second position right now. And
I think if you're looking at Rotary or what Liam's going to be thinking, they've got to think the big picture here. You know, are you wanting to battle with a guy that's like nowhere near you in the overall standings, or are you just going to attempt just to think of the big picture? And
I can't confirm that Tim is nowhere near them on the standings, by the way. So I wouldn't take that as a... I don't know what team he's on. I don't know what their overall standing is right now.
He's Clockwork Motorsports. That's what his team is.
Okay, that didn't help me a lot. So it still doesn't tell me where... Like, so I can't guarantee you that he doesn't know ahead of time that Timler is actually only 40 seconds back of him or 35 seconds back of him, right? So, like, I don't know what that gap is. So if that gap's not a lap, I mean, you don't want to just let him gain time that, you know, because you got to realize Liam will also be racing whoever Timler's racing for, whoever Sprinkler, all these other people too. So you're not just racing the one person who's in second place currently. There's also the person in third and fourth and fifth who could also potentially be closing that gap down as well on him. So I don't have the exact things. I know Timler is about 7 minutes
Oh,
behind, so
Lewis!
never mind that. He should not battle Timler.
Lewis has got front end damage now. Yeah, front end. Lewis. It's just been a race to forget for Lewis, unfortunately. It's just all gone wrong for him.
It's a rough place to get the damage, too. Anywhere on the GP means you got to carry it all the way around the Nordschleife. Shadow also having a tough race as he's sitting in 13th.
I think he made a pit stop.
Pit. Yeah, I noticed that too. I was like, I think he just pit, so he's going to pass.
It could have been damage there too if you consider that lap time at 9:51. So he must have had engine damage.
Yeah, that's a pretty big one. Anytime you start pushing those 10 minutes, you probably creeped around at about 5 miles an hour for a while. So
yeah, Shadow really struggling here after the previous driver had a solid
Splash is all
finish.
over Scudiera. Scudiera had to have made a mistake to get closed up that much. Splash is on tires that are like 2 years old right now. We've got Baggage, who probably likes seeing that, the gap going over 2 seconds again, but it's still not that big a gap. It's still coming down, so Baggage has to be realizing, like, they are catching. And, I mean, to be fair, Splash on these tires, low fuel, keeping up with someone in the exact same car as you, who has better tires and just a little bit more fuel, is an impressive drive. That is where you're just driving the car a little bit better than the person ahead of you, because all the advantages are in driver's advantage right now. He has the better tires. Yeah, he's got a little bit more fuel, but it's not going to add as much time as the tire wear is going to add.
I would expect the Scuderia to just pull away from Splash, considering that the tire degradation that Splash has over Scuderia. But I think it's just that I think it was a case that Scuderia's made a couple of mistakes here and there, and it still allowed Splash to catch up. Because I would expect the driver to pull away off into the distance and catch up with Baggage just ahead in that Porsche.
I mean, yeah, I'd agree completely. The worst tires in the exact same car, in a car that's good at turning and cornering, you would think that you would just be hemorrhaging time. But he's managed to run, and again, it's one of those deals where some people can just run on burnt tires, and they just don't lose that much pace, and tire wear doesn't affect them the same way it affects everybody else. So it could be one of those deals where he's just feeling really comfortable on the tires, and the wear just isn't noticeable to him. Where
Graham Ethan's in the pit lane, rotary. That's an early pit stop.
That's a damage pit. That's a damage pit. He's got damage. That is not going to be good. That's Tim Freely into second, and that's going to close that gap for Sprinkler. This is what Sprinkler needed big time if he wanted to help his team. He needed some help from Rotary. Rotary is only coming in about 2 laps early on his pit, so he could maybe extend it out, fix it all up and everything, but the real idea is to keep an eye on Sprinkler here.
He'll probably go all the way to the top here.
I think that's 100% a bad idea, because you'll always be carrying extra fuel.
Yeah.
And
I think, I'm going to guess he's going to fuel save for 2 laps. Because I think that was the plan, to go 2 stops here, because he's going to go 9 laps here, and now you can see RAT, the E, is all over the back of Rotary, because he's just come out of the pit lane. So I think Rotary's going to have to do some fuel saving here.
He'll probably, I mean, I see what you're saying. That makes more sense, because he probably doesn't have a calculation for how much to save and how much he can save, so instead of doing it to just the 79 or whatever his plan was, you just do it to full and hope that it's enough at that point. Because originally when you're like, I think he fills the full, there's never a good reason to fill the full. You should know your fuel levels well enough, especially on a track this big, that you never take extra fuel, because it's just a waste, right? If you know it takes 91% fuel to do your stint, you don't need 92%, you don't need 96%, you need 91%. To be fair, you should take 89 and save 2%, in my opinion. But so, yeah, 99% of the time, I'd say there is no reason to ever fill your tank all the way to full. You should do your math. It's not that hard of math to figure out. But in the sense that you're in the middle of the race and you're having to change your strat on the fly because you just took damage, and you know you need 2 more laps and you don't know what that is, yeah, you just fill it to full and hope that that's the right amount, because...
Yeah, he's definitely saving, because R18E just closed up a hell of a lot there going into his DeVito chicane, and he had to back off the throttle quite early, so Rotary's definitely heavily saving some fuel so he can go the rest of the distance on this stint alone.
I mean, I'm going to be honest, just based on the total amount of laps, I think Bambi in the chat actually just said it. Rotary might need to make another stop. And then we've got Narcotic. Rotary can't take this all the way to the end, but he'll need to fuel, or can take it all the way to the end, but he'll need to fuel save a little. And I think, yeah, we're all seeing the same thing here. None of us know how much fuel he needed extra. And so he just went full, and yeah, we all know he needs to fuel save some if he's going to make the two-stop work. And Tim does have another pit. We know that the gap on... So it's still a race here. The damage maybe cost Rotary. But like we said, the big focus is on Sprinkler. And Sprinkler is only 15 seconds back.
Yeah, about 14, 15 seconds adrift.
That is a big loss of time. There was a 40-second gap there. Now it's a 15-second gap. So definitely wanted to keep focusing.
He didn't spin on an auto spin curb or something like that, because like he wasn't battling with anyone. He was just racing against himself. So maybe it was just a lapse of concentration for him to pick up that back end damage.
I'm trying to think off the top of my head here if there's any serious auto spin curbs around the Nordschleife. Because usually auto spin curbs in GT Sport are the flat ones, the ones that don't cause understeer and oversteer. And most of the bumps here at the Nordschleife all have a little bit of camber on them. So those usually won't spin you, they bounce you, which is just as annoying, but it usually won't give you the auto, instant, nothing you can do about it spin. Like, oh, if you've ever driven Red Bull, there's an inside the real fast infield section. That curb, like, you'll run it 100 times. One time, it'll just spin your car out of control. So I'm trying to go in my head around the lap as I'm kind of watching them and stuff to try to think, is there any curb that I know if I touch it, it might just throw my car at any minute, like into a spin, not into a bounce. And I don't know if they have... I'm trying to think. I'm sure there's one somewhere. Every track has a couple of them, but most of these are angled, so...
Oh! Sorry, I was just looking at Shake and Bake, the 12th position, nearly getting Valvoline completely wrong, and now Shadow with the Jag is closed up now, within slipstream distance now of the Mazda, and I tell you what, the Mazda's front tyres are looking a lot worse for wear now, and Shadow in that Jag very close to the back of him as they approach the Schumacher S's.
Ooh, it's a tough place
all
to
over the back
move.
now.
Takes the inside from him. This should be good. That's he gets it done completely. Yeah, he knows the tire. Oh, Lewis somehow has damage on the front and the back, so he must have hit a wall gone all the way around.
Yeah.
But he's going to come in and fix that here.
Oh, he's got more damage, yeah. Must have been back-end damage there, because when I last seen him, he had front-end, so that was about 30 seconds ago.
Tom's sitting comfortably in 11th. He's got about a 40-second gap, and, hey, only a 4-second gap to the top 10 right now, so... Any of those THG fans, let's keep an eye on Tom. He's definitely looking to battle for a top 10 position. Just 4 seconds back after almost 2 hours. I'm telling you, I'm impressed by everybody I'm watching drive here. Dino just actually, 2 seconds back of Splash.
Tom lost 4 seconds on that last lap.
Well, so
I'm wondering if he was actually closer to the back of Sleepy.
He must have been right on him.
Yeah.
Yeah, he must have been about right there, so because he was about a 4 second slower than Sleepy. Although, to be fair, it might be Sleepy Pit, because there's back-to-back high laps by Sleepy, and then Tom is... 14s is roughly his consistent zone. 12s is his fastest lap, so I'm definitely thinking that it was probably just the pit stop is the gap that we're seeing right now. But if he can find some time, or we've seen Sleepy make mistakes, so... If he makes any mistakes, it'll definitely...
Scuderia is all over the back of baggage for 6th position.
Where did Splash go? Splash was keeping up with driver, but...
his tyres are gone. His tyres are gone. He's not catching up.
Yeah, he's probably coming in here pretty soon. But yeah, Scuderia right here on the back of baggage. And the real question, you know what's funny is, like, when I was first watching, like, Stint 2, people were getting real defensive. And now, all of a sudden, Stint 5, everyone's a little bit more like, nah, I don't really need to be defensive. If you get the move done, you get the move done. So, we will have to see how that works out. I think there's one or two of those curbs. Yeah, there's like 86 laps I was trying to, or turns I was trying to think through, and I was just like, I don't know. Like, when I drive around here, I don't ever hit a curb that spins me out, other than, like, you know, maybe one that bounces me. Usually when I think of the auto spin curbs, I think of all those flat, soft, or not soft, those flat, slick ones that you see at, like, Interlagos has a couple, and Bathurst has a couple. And Nuremberg has them, and Red Bull has them. All those ones that have those flat, just slick things, they just literally spin you. But yeah, there's like so many curbs around here. There just has to be a couple of auto spin ones somewhere. But Scudiera is all over the back here of Baggage, and he's got the fuel advantage, he's got the tire advantage, he's got all the advantage.
I think Baggage doesn't really need to battle Scuderia here, because Baggage is yet to make his second pit stop, whereas Scuderia has. And he has to make a third pit stop. So Baggage doesn't really need to battle Scuderia at this point.
Is Scuderia going to have to pit one more time, you think?
He's going to have to pit one more time, for sure. Yeah, because he pitted in on lap 12. So he's definitely going to have to pit. Whereas Baggage, he'd be pitting next time by. It's either this lap or next time by. So Baggage just needs to think smart here. Just let Scuderia go by.
Well, I'm just going to point out to you that if he pit on lap 12, he's definitely going for a one-stop.
No, because he pitted in on lap 6 too. He pitted in on lap 6 and lap 12 did Scuderia. So he's going to be pitting in on lap 18, but his Baggage is pitting on lap 16. So that's an extra pit stop stay for Baggage as R18's in the pits.
They are going, well, Baggage and them are going side by side down the straight. This is definitely what Splash wants to see. The less they're slipping, the slower they're going. So that is what he needs to try to close down anything. But it does end up being Baggage getting the move done. The Porsche does have the better top speed, ends up getting it taken care of. And I think that's one of those situations where when you're on Baggage, it's like, dude, the longer you stay out there, the more likely I'm going to end up winning this top speed battle. But we might see. Now Baggage is going defensive. He's like, it's far enough into the race now.
I don't think that's smart on Baggage's part, though. I don't think that is.
Oh, he cuts it back. He started to slip up and slipping it back down. I mean, and it also kind of depends on where. I don't know the total times well enough to know if Baggage is potentially battling with someone who he needs to slow down so that his teammate has a chance in the next round against him. I'm not 100% sure, so it might be a situation where Baggage knows that Scudiera is who he's battling with on the time, and every second he costs him right now is a second he's not gaining on his team. So it might be one of those situations where every second counts. It looks like Scudiera either missed the line or, it looks like he tried to get a different run going so he can try to get a run out of the Schumacher. It's an interesting thought to try to get the run going, take a little bit wider of a line so you get the better exit speed, and then try to get it done in this little bitty straight right here. Just not enough room. He does go for it.
Oh, he's leaning. They're leaning on each other and through. That was a bit of a forceful pass there, but I think Baggage, he should be all right with that.
Well, he should have seen that coming as well, because it was obvious the guy behind you got on a really weird line, which means he's trying to get exit speed. Like, he went real wide, and like, assuming you have your rearview mirror. If you're in bumper cam or any of those, you might not have a rearview mirror. But if you can see that he widened up the corner, he's trying to get a run on you. So, like, he's going to dive it. Like, there's no reason to do all that work if you haven't decided, I'm going for it on that next corner, right?
I'm just having a look further back through the field. So R18 comes out in 9th position after making his second pit stop. I wonder if he's good enough to go the rest of the way. He's fueled his car to the top, so I'd imagine that's his pit stop was done.
Who was that? I'm sorry.
If he doesn't make a mistake, R18E.
Okay.
And he's only 6.5 seconds off of Dino.
According to I don't remember who Narcotic Hypnosis is. Is that Rob or Elysian? Whatever, doesn't even matter. Said that Baggage is a lap down on the overall, so he wasn't in a direct battle or anything with Scudiera, but him and Splash are really close overall. So this battle between Baggage and Splash right here, this 1.2 gap, and Dino's only 2 seconds back as well. They're all about to come in as well. So this 6th, 7th, 8th battle is about as close as we're going to get to an on-the-track and overall standings battle right here.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But I think they're all going to come in right here. Dino, I think it was, maybe has enough to sneak out one more full lap. I don't think it's necessarily worth it because
Ah.
your tires are too gone. You're going to lose too much time. It's not that good of an idea. But Splash 2 seconds back of Baggage. Baggage just 4/10 back of Scudiera, and the Scudiera I think Baggage needs to hold on to him for slip, do anything he can to try to help out, as we see Splash getting real squirrely behind there. Just because if you can get pulled along, it might help you with that gap on Splash. But yeah, the gap's coming down. But they are all coming in. They do not have much of a lead on THG R18E here. So when they go in,
Yeah, well, he's going to get
he's
by
going to
them.
go by. He's going to go by all the way to 6th is my guess, and he'll be roughly 5 seconds back of Scudiera.
R18, he pitted the lap before. So he's made his 2 pit stops. He's done his pit stops now.
Yeah, and then back in the lead, let's check him out because we haven't looked at Philo in a while, is 33 seconds. That's down from what we
Tim's
saw
catching.
last. So, yeah, and if you remember right before or right as we checked him last, he ended up, if I remember right, didn't he have to, or no, that was Rotary who had the damage. So, yeah, Tim's not catching him. No. He's running 7:59s and Tim's running 8:02s in 8 minutes. So, no, I think
This is obviously a good thing here for Clockwork Motorsport. I don't know where they are in the overall standings, but I mean, this is obviously a good confidence thing for the third driver to put in the last stint. What's his name again? I forget.
I'm going to repeat myself. I do not know the teams.
Oh, okay.
I feel like I've
written
told
it
that
down
a few
on a sheet of
times.
paper.
No, I know the names of the people in here, and Rob and all of them will take care of all the teams and everything, and they can type to me all that stuff so that I can keep updated on that. But no, I did not write down all the 46 drivers and their teams and everything. Apologies for my lack of professionalism on that. But no, so I mean, it's definitely going to be good for him to work his way through. I think last I heard, the team's about a lap down, so every second he gains is pulling them back towards the main lap, pulling them back onto those battles and getting them into the battles for the top 5s, the top 7s, and all that. So, I mean, it's been a fantastic drive for him. He's absolutely just flying around the track, sitting in second, doing everything he can for his team. And what happened? Oh, he hasn't pit yet. So we'll see what happens when the pit happens, because he's going to be coming in here. The gap, the fuel, where do we think Rotary's going to end up coming out here after Tim puts on new tires and fills up for the last time? It's really going to be a question as to whether Rotary can get, it's a long pit window. He might close down most of that gap, if not all of it here, if he can keep it roughly in that 39-second range.
I think, looking at that gap, and I think Rotary is still fuel saving.
I think Rotary will be fuel saving the entire stint.
Yeah, he's definitely going to. But I mean, if he's going to do that, because he'll probably know that Sprink will have to pit again. But I think Rotary will still come out in third with him making his last pit stop, I reckon.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to depend exactly on how it works.
Scudery's having a problem. Scudery's got damage.
Oh, engine damage too. That is. Oh, R18, be careful going by him. Oh, as he squeezed through there.
Have a look. Oh, and that's actually a caught with baggage. So something happened with
baggage has insane damage too. He didn't take engine damage though. Baggage only has front suspension or front damage, left, right suspension, and back damage. So, I mean, they definitely got into each other, and Scudiera got the worst of it as he is carrying front damage, front right suspension, and engine damage, and that is going to be very detrimental for the team currently sitting, I believe, in third?
In third, yeah, that's
that's going to dip him some time. That moved everybody up by him. R18 is actually going to catch Baggage before Baggage goes into the pits, so that is going to be detrimental to Baggage as well. And that's got to be like flashbacks to the second stint almost, where you have such a good race going, but it's just those little damages, those little mistakes. I wish I'd caught what had happened there. To be fair, I should have been looking there. I think we were looking at almost nothing important, and people were close on the track. So Timler is in the pits. It's going to come down to where Rotary ends up getting as Tim comes out. I think Tim's going to be out just in plenty of time ahead of him.
Yeah, indeed he will.
And that is probably going to be second place without any mistakes in a tough spot, because Tim has the same fuel. To be fair, Tim and Rotary are in the same car with the legit exact same amount of fuel. So if Tim isn't planning on fuel saving, but he has been the whole race, right? So I assume he is. But that would mean, guys, Rotary calculated it right, and a fuel tank with fuel saving will make it because they have the legit exact same fuel. Heck, they've almost driven the same amount of miles in their cars. 1,041 versus 912. They're within almost 100 miles of each other. As we do see 6th, 7th, 8th all come in. These are a couple of damage fixes, I think. Baggage is fixing his damage. Scudiera, because of his engine damage, still hasn't made it yet. That is going to be... I mean, we're going to watch Scudiera, see if he really comes out with a fire, because he was in the middle of this pack, and he's definitely be coming out at the back of the pack here. So they are all going in, getting the fuel, getting the tires. Ooh, Sprinkler, who was at one point 40 seconds behind Rotary, has now found himself within 8 seconds, and he's bringing the gap down. So remember, we kind of had written it off that Rotary was going to lead Liam to starting on pole, and that 6-second gap that they had was going to be extended to like almost 30 or 40 seconds. And looking at the times now, it might be Sprinkler who ends up gapping them, and maybe it ends up making the SMM and Liam and them race them instead of the other way around. Maybe they'll be having to make up the time if he can close it down. He's got plenty of time, about 45 minutes to maybe right at an hour left in the race, somewhere in there. So it is a tough amount of laps to kind of figure out as well exactly where the time's going to end up at. So hopefully everyone's gotten their strategies figured out. Splash came out of the pits ahead of Dino as well.
Splash was already ahead of Dino.
Well, so yeah, he's got that 1 second gap there. Then we've got Baggage and Scudiera. Like, yeah, they're damaged. Look at those time gaps now. They were all within like tenths of each other or seconds of each other, and now we got a 14-second gap back to Scudiera and a 13-second gap to Dino there. So they both ended up taking a lot of damage from that. Sneaky crossing the finish line here as well in 10th.
And that's a shame there for Baggage, because yeah, he was having a good race there too. He didn't, mind his own business. He had a little scare on the first lap, but yeah, that's obviously not good for the Akipax racing team. I don't know if Rob is still watching it in the stream, but
I'm sure he is. He's trying to stay up for all of it. It's his project he's been working on. I'm sure he's too nervous to go to bed yet. Maybe getting sleep one eye at a time. Close one eye, watch with the other eye. When he gets tired, switch eyes.
He said to me, I was in a party chat with him earlier, he said he's going to drink loads of coffee and loads of Red Bull.
All right, so next year we're going to be doing the race against the heart attack. Do race against Dementia this year, and then for next year we'll do a race against the heart attack for Rob, because that does not sound healthy or like a good idea at all. But Tim?
Actually, Rob wants a red panda. Maybe we could do like a race to charity for Rob to get a red panda.
I feel like that wouldn't be a charity. I feel like that's just purchasing something and asking people for a loan.
Pretty much.
I think if you would like to purchase a red panda, it'd be better to just go to a bank. I mean, they'll probably tell you no. Like, I think pandas are in danger, They might arrest you for even wanting to do that. And they'd be well within their rights. Leave the pandas alone. But Splash's gap was staying the same with Dino. Dino's sitting right under a second from him, so they may end up closing that down here on the last stint. But it's really, Scudiera's got a lot of gap to Baggage. Baggage has a huge gap to Dino, so...
Oh, no, Lewis. No. Lewis has spun off again at the second carousel before the long straightaway. He already had back-end damage, and now he's got front and front left damage now too.
I mean, when you have back damage...
Lewis.
Oh, Philo, we don't need to be pushing that hard. You've got a minute and 12-second lead. Why are we putting 2 tires on the dirt? But Philo's looking clean here.
He's still trying, you gotta respect him for that, He's going all balls out on this track. He's trying to help his team get further up in the official standings.
Absolutely, for sure. And don't get me wrong, I've raced with aliens before myself. I understand that he might be going for fast lap right now. Like he had a 757 in the last one, and he might be like, I can do better than that. So he might be pushing that.
He
But
won't.
yeah, I don't know. I can't come up with a good reason other than just being that comfortable in the zone to be pushing
But he won't
all
have
the
to pit
way.
again.
I mean, he could pit 2 more times and still hold this gap. So yeah, I mean, he's got a comfortable zone, so it's interesting to see him pushing it that hard. I wonder if he sees a gap or something, or if he sees like he might be able to close something down, because it seems like at a minute 12, like I expect him to continue growing the lead, but to be running sub 8 minutes with a minute 12 lead, like I mean, that's either pure comfort or pure insanity. One of the two. That is being. I mean, that's just knowing one speed. That speed is go go go.
About 10 minutes away until it's 5 o'clock in the morning in the UK here. Is it about, what is it, roughly midnight at your area, isn't it? Is it? Something like
Uh,
that? 11?
Yeah, 10 minutes until it's 11. So this race will be
All right.
ending, 11:30, 11:45. Plenty of time for me to get some Netflix in and sleep. It's almost like a casual day for me. Everybody else has these crazy schedules, and mine was like wake up at the normal time, do a little casting, go get the other stuff done for the day, come back, cast before we go to bed. I've had a relaxing day because I wasn't here for the crazy internet shenanigans that we had to deal with and everything. So it's going to be a lot of fun, or it's been a lot of fun to watch. And again, guys, if you've been enjoying it, we've still got people watching. If you haven't had a chance to look at any of the information, I think that might be in the description. It may have been, it might not be anymore. But, if you'd like to look into anything, I'm sure Rob or anyone can get you a link for the donation tab or any of the information if you'd like to further familiarize yourself with anything, dementia related and stuff, as, we're all here for that race. And that's what we're here for. So let's make sure that we continue to focus on the real reason. It's a lot of fun and it's for a good cause. So you can't say no to that. Every single driver out here having a bad time, just like, it's for a good cause. Just keep driving. I hit the wall again. It's for a good cause. Just keep driving.
Yeah, we're still donating. So if you've got any more money, put it towards the charity. It'll be very well received. I think we've reached what you said, $500. I don't know what that is in UK pounds, though. I mean, which is still, still
don't
quite an
take. I
excessive
don't know.
amount.
I was making that up. I wouldn't take me serious. I have no
Oh,
idea how much
okay.
they made. I was just joking. I was like, I don't know. They made like $400 or $500. I legit have no clue. Any donation obviously is accepted. Obviously, if you're just here to support it and be part of the chat and communicate, we're absolutely fine with that as well. We're looking at, what have we got? Like 6.5 laps to go.
About
So
that. Yeah,
about 45 minutes left in the race, a little bit over, maybe right about 50 minutes left as we're watching Philo. Anyone else battling? I've kind of been just watching the lead for a second while we're chatting. It looks like we got some
the only
gaps.
close-
I think we've got some gaps.
The only close battle I can see is the battle for sixth for Splash and Dino. There's only 2 seconds separating those two. I'll have a look further back. But I think, to my knowledge, that's the only closest that's on track at the moment is Splash versus Dino.
Well, we need to also point out the fact that Sprinkler has closed the gap 3 more seconds on Rotary. So Rotary in this fuel-saving mode has hemorrhaged a little bit of his pace, and Sprinkler not in fuel-saving mode because the vets... Ow, Sprinkler has to pit again, I forgot.
Yeah, I was going to say this might not be too bad for Rotary after all. Because I think he's got more. He's just got a tad bit more fuel than Tim in second now, so he doesn't need to fuel save, I reckon. But a Sprinkler will have to pit again, so this might not be too bad overall for Rotary.
Don't forget, Tim's been fuel saving the whole race, so I think Tim fueled with fuel saving in mind. So I think Rotary still has to fuel save. I don't think
because
he can start running
we've
it
seen
out.
him short shift a few times. Yeah, of
Yeah,
course.
he's completely blowing my mind about how to drive a BMW because his pace is nuts and he's shifting like it's a Mercedes or something like that. So, yeah, like, don't get me wrong, I'm going to be doing some math after this because I thought I knew the BMW shift point, and Tim over here is like, hey, moron. No, you don't. Watch how fast I go while short shifting in this thing, and I'm just sitting here like, I can't short shift that thing and make it go fast. I don't understand how he's doing this. I'm gonna need a walkthrough and a guide on how the heck you are getting so much power out of this BMW while shifting at 60%. Or like I said, most likely, it's just me being ignorant to the fuel, and I just miscalculated it when I looked at the ratios and everything, and it doesn't shift at 80 or 90% optimum. It maybe shifts at 60 and 70 optimum. I've just always lived in the world that it's about a 90% optimum shift. So you shift it when you're really burning it right as it flashes. And if you're trying to, like, not push it, you shift it right before it flashes. And yeah, Tim's over here like, no, no, no. You shift like as soon as it turns like pink at all, man. Like as soon as you see pink, shift it. Like I'm just sitting here going, but that is slow. I can't do that. How are you? How are you doing this?
Oh, Lewis! Oh, Lewis has run off again.
Yeah, I mean it happens.
This,
it's
I'm
all about
guessing
getting your total
this
time.
is just. I don't know if it's a case of driver fatigue or just lapse of concentration in terms for Lewis here, because he's actually nearly going to be lapped by Philo. He's probably about 10 seconds away now.
Bambi says,
from
hi, I
being
am
fully lapped.
Clockworks engineer and fuel is fine. Yeah, we kind of realized, because Rotary had messed his strategy, or not messed his strategy, but he took damage about 2 laps before he needed to actually pit. So he filled to full, and we didn't know if he'd be able to fuel save it all the way. But when Tim came out of the pits, their fuel was exactly even. So it was like, okay, we think Rotary's fuel must be fine because we assume Tim's fuel is fine. But we do think Rotary still has to short shift it because, to be fair, like we've been saying, Tim's been short shifting the whole race. He's been fuel saving pretty much the entire race. And like I said, it's blowing my mind about the BMW's optimum shift point. So, yeah, mine getting exploded over here watching him shift it at like barely even pink. And it's just like, that's not where you shift the BMW at. Or, I mean, maybe it is and I'm just crazy. Like, maybe I've been doing it wrong all along, and now I can be fast in the BMW again. It was all the shift, right? That's what fast is. I love that when people come, they're like, I think I could get fast if, like, maybe I switch from automatic to manual. And you're like, yeah, you'll get quicker by doing that, for sure. But understand that's not the main cause that's holding you back. It's the fact that you're not braking right, and you're not accelerating right, and they're going through the corner at 110, and you're going through the corner at 107. And it's like, but that's not that big a difference. And it's like, yeah, but you do that 35 times, it's a big difference. It's always focusing on those little bitty gains that are really going to make it. Like, every 10th actually counts. You'll notice that the quicker drivers hit every apex. They don't miss many apexes. Why? Because if you miss 5 apexes a lap, that's 5/10, right? Where, the more casual drivers they'll know the track, they know their braking zone, but their consistency around the apexes, their turn-in points are crazy. Yeah, I've had times where, when we're on our team events and I'm describing like, okay, so you see the sign on the left, as soon as it passes my vision, I turn. And they're literally like, you have a turn-in point? And I'm like, yeah, otherwise it's not consistent. I have a brake, a turn, an accelerate, like you want something for everything, right? So it's really just that whole little like system of getting everything. No. Who spun?
Lewis again. He's got front end damage this time.
I feel like you need to watch some of the other battles. Lewis is having a great race and his car looks beautiful, but let's not worry too much about the damage being carried there, because I think we've got, where is it? Splash? Actually, Splash gapped out Dino a little bit more. I'm trying to remember if Sprinkler has brought it down further. I think it was 5 seconds last time we looked, so 4.5 now. That's the big one, it looks like. Is Rotary closing the gap on Tim? Hey, by the way, Tim's closed the gap on Philo by a second. It was 112 last I checked, and now it's 111. So
I tell you what, Philo's actually running quite tight on for fuel. I think he's good to go, but Philo's going to be pitted this time by.
Oh no!
TGR.
R18.
There's a disconnect from 5th position too.
Oh, that is terrible. Restart. That would be horrible. What if you did a restart from there? Oh.
Oh no! So what will that happen then? What's going to happen with that? Is that like an actual?
He just goes on to the last lap. I mean, he moves to last, and he gets the last lap, and he's just like a lap down there. It happened to Dino in Stint 2, as a matter of fact. So yeah, it doesn't like just ruin it. It doesn't give you a 9999999 as your time or anything like that. So it's not just going to max your time out. But yeah, it's not going to allow you to take the time that he had building there in 5th place. So I am quite sure he's probably not super excited about that, but when you're dealing with the internet, you're dealing with PlayStation and Sony, like I think we've all we've been there, and you know, it's a tough spot. Tim has
And that was a
actually
shame
gapped it
because
up a
he was
little
in
bit though.
fifth.
Yeah, I mean it's always a shame. It's tough. But I mean on the other side of it, you're looking at a lot of people right now who just saw their position go up one. So like Lewis, who had no chance of realistically gaining, he was 3 minutes back. Well, he just gained a position, right? So that's a position gain for him. It's a position gain for Shake and Bake. It's a position gain for Shadow and Tom. And Tom's probably not too. I mean, Tom on the THG as well is probably feeling for him. But at the same time, position gain for Tom and bragging rights. It's technically a win. Sleepy goes from being just on the outside of 10 to 10th. That helps Scudiera, puts him in there. So it is kind of helping a lot of people with their times on the bright side of that. But yeah, you've got to be upset to be running in 5th the whole time and then just have it taken away like that. And I do want to point out, we did say we wanted to watch Splash and see how his recovery race goes. And it really looked like he might potentially end up in an 8th position. He might potentially end up in a 9th position. It didn't look great, but keeping his head down, running his consistent laps, and guess who's found themselves inside the top 5? I mean, that's why you got to just keep with it.
If he hadn't have made the mistake, what could have been a higher position than 5th?
Yeah, I mean, he'd definitely be closing that gap on Sprinkler. It wouldn't be a 108, that's for sure. But, I mean, we got to keep our eye on Sprinkler. If you were in Rotary's position, you got to be like, dude, this is the same thing again. How come last race I had like 5 laps to go, and the person was constantly closing the gap down, and I was going to get raced to the finish line, and now here he is, about 5-6 laps to go, and what do you know? He's got a gap, and the gap is closing and closing and closing, and he's not closing the gap on Tim, so he's not going to be able to potentially turn it into a 3-way battle where maybe he can use that as an extra blocker, so... I mean, he's going to... Oh, whoa, someone... Oh, no, that was a lapped car.
That must have been Lewis, I think. Lewis has come out the pits now, yeah.
So, yeah, it was a little bit running wide there, but... to be fair...
I think Sprinkler's going to be coming in this time by. He's roughly down to about 15% of fuel now.
Yeah, I do think Sprinkler jumps in here. That's going to add about 30 seconds onto his time when he comes around this time. So, I mean, Splash will end up about 30 seconds back from him, but it'll be good for his overall time. But I'm sure he's going to think about it more like, oh, the race that could have been. I was battling for a podium, and then just everything went wrong. And to be fair, hats off and fair play to him. He kept it clean when he took that damage. He didn't put his car in a dangerous situation. He allowed the cars to get by him. He stayed on the track, got it in the pits. And, I mean, realistically, turning that back into a top 5, potentially, Dino wants to have something to say about that, though. But even being able to battle for a top 5 is an amazing recovery race there.
Shadow's got a lot of damage on his Jag, front left, rear right, and rear bumper damage. So he's going to be pitting... in fact, he's going to be pitting this time by, actually, because he is also flashing red on his fuel gauge. And it's at a worse part... Oh, no, he's actually... he's going towards the long straightaway, so hopefully not too much time lost.
Well, he's got that minute 6 gap on Shake and Bake, so that's a good amount of gap. I don't think he'd be too upset about that amount. Depends on how much he loses with all this damage, though, because that gap starts falling into that 40-second range. If he could lose 20 seconds on the straight, which I don't think is realistic, then his position could start to get a little bit more dangerous. But one pit, roughly... I mean, we'll have to see it. I don't have the time on how long it takes to fuel and repair all this damage and everything. As Sneaky jumps in the pit, Tom also jumping in the pits as well, so they're coming in for their last stops.
Wait a minute. See the guy... See he's in 10th position. What have you called him? Is it Sleepy?
I think so. Well, I was calling him Good Job.
Sleepy all the time.
Yeah, I've been calling him Good Job, and then they said instead of calling him Good Job, and then I would randomly say Vurin, but I don't even know if that's even close. Yeah. And then someone in chat said just call him Sneaky. That's his name, and I was like, done.
Oh, Sneaky.
Yeah.
Oh, I've called him Sleepy. Oops.
I bet he forgives you. But yeah. So I've just been calling him that the whole time. And to be fair, maybe they told me Sleepy and I've forgotten. You never know. And maybe it's Sleepy and I'm calling him Sneaky. Either way, it's been a blast to watch him drive the Lexus around. Currently sitting in 9th. He's probably, he's got a 14-second lead over Tom. Shadow's jumping in the pits as well, so we will have to see how his total time and fuel and everything work out. I wonder if Shake and Bake will end up closing that down at all. Is Dino's lost some time on Splash. Sprinkler has picked up some damage. Now, that's, again, all of this is going to help Splash potentially close that time down. And for Rotary, it's just helping and helping. Now we're looking at about a 20-second total gap.
Actually, when you come to think of it, though, because that is horrible for Sprinkler, because we did see the gap between him and Rotary down to about 3 seconds. It's now up to 13 seconds, and he's got about halfway around this lap to drive with this damage on the car. So this is a disaster for Sprinkler.
Well, and I would add on to the disaster in the fact that that gap behind him is closing down under a minute. We know the time it takes to fuel and everything else is like 30, 35 seconds. On the pit, I think it takes like 35 to almost 40 seconds to do a full pit stop.
What's going to happen here with Lewis?
This could be dangerous.
This could be bad because Lewis has made multiple mistakes, and I don't think we want to cause the out. That's quite invalid.
Yeah, I don't know what you do. Do you go for the? I don't even know what you do. You're faster than him because he has a bunch of damage, but you're lapped traffic. That is a weird spot to be in. Like, you can unlap yourself for sure. There's nothing wrong with that, but you still know you're lapped traffic. Like, you know that you're in the way by getting ahead of him, but he's slower than you and he's costing you time. That is a weird position to find yourself in.
Of course, this is going to breathe a huge sigh of relief to Rotary now, because that gap is growing and growing and growing.
Well, I'm sure Splash is looking at the gap going, why is it coming down so fast? He must have taken damage for it to be dropping down. It's dropped down 10 seconds. And so I think Splash probably realizes, oh, 4th place might just have become available. Like, this might not be as big a gap as it was, especially if he can continue to catch it up. Sprinkler, and because Sprinkler hasn't even gotten to the part where he's going to lose the most time. It's not great through all these corners, but you're not losing the most time with damage and cornering. When he gets on that straight and has no aerodynamics, the wings giving him no downforce or anything, and it's just blocking air, I mean, that's just going to hemorrhage your times going down. He's got that back damage, so it should really affect his top speed, like, massively. I would be surprised if he's getting over 160 on this back straight, and we know that the Subaru is going to be able to do over 160. So that's a weird scenario where the Subaru made a mistake somewhere, or Dino decided to go alien.
Splash.
Because Splash and Dino are all over each other now. Well, and there was a decent gap, and so clearly Splash lost 3 seconds somewhere, because the 3 second gap is gone.
5.2 off his best time.
Yeah, that's probably true. I can't even see what his best time is anymore, but I'm sure he's off his best time pretty consistently, considering he has a 8:03 on the board, and it's not the best time, but he hasn't gotten close to 8:03 since, so I think his consistency isn't where his best lap currently is, so...
I think Dino's made a mistake too, because he's losing ground now to Splash, 1.3, and it's increasing again.
Yeah, so it's a nice tier, and I think for Sprinkler, that actually kind of helps you out a little bit. You don't have the most insane amount of damage. Now, it'd be terrible if somehow you ran out of fuel, but I'm sure he's got enough fuel to make it all the way down to the pits at the end of the straight. But yeah, I mean, you're right. Rotary's sitting in a fantastic position. He just saw that gap go from dangerous, and like he was doing the math and realizing, don't listen to me tell you about how good you're doing and then spin it out, Rotary. But now he sees this gap going up, and when he sees Sprinkler jump in the pit here, I mean, he might as well just sing, because it's not going to get better than that. That's re-gapping Sprinkler out. It's giving Liam that gap that he's been trying to get him the whole race. And it just really boils down to Rotary here on these last, 5 laps to go. In goes Sprinkler. So, there is Rotary seeing that super soft pop up there and going, oh, he's on a different strat now. We're good. He may have already known that he had to pit one more time for fuel. Usually when you're racing, you tend to keep track of stuff better. So it's going to be interesting, but I wonder how close Splash is going to end up getting. I don't think it's as close as it was earlier, but has Sprinkler changing the tires?
20-odd seconds behind. Yeah,
Fuel
putting on some fresh tires.
In.
Fuel coming in and then fix the damage. He'll possibly come out maybe 20 to 25 seconds ahead of Splash, I reckon.
Yep, as they have just released him. And out he goes, and yeah, he's not even come down into the straight. So yeah, there'll be a decent gap there. Probably, like, you'd have to run a really good lap, need some mistakes from Sprinkler. We've seen him make some mistakes, though, so, I mean, don't put it past him to possibly take damage again, right? It is an insanely difficult track. It's hard to keep your focus in. Now, Rotary probably looks at that gap he sees now and goes, oh, thank God, finally, that was terrifying.
Yeah, 49 seconds. So the gap now coming into us, the last stint, will be about 55 seconds. But I'm wondering if Rotary is still, still short shifting and saving fuel in the process. I mean, 49 seconds is quite a lot. Well, technically, 55 seconds is a hell of a lot now. So there's a lot more breathing room now with SBR and GTAS.
He has basically exactly 50% fuel, so does Timler. They are both still short shifting because if you think about it, they have 5 laps to go roughly. They're at half fuel, and your tank can barely make 10. You can't even really make the 10th lap, right? It can make like 9 solid laps. So yeah, I think they have to short shift it out, but I think they're both sitting pretty on fuel. They'll probably end up with, like maybe a lap left of fuel or something when they get to the end. On the fuel saving the whole way, they may have overfueled just a hair, but I don't think they're in a position where they can necessarily just start burning their fuel off all willy-nilly like they have extra fuel.
Just noticing here that Lewis is ghosted here. I wonder if he's actually taking a genuine pit stop. Like he's needed to go to the toilet and do a number 1 because his car's just ghosted. So,
yeah, it would make sense. I have definitely thought about a few times. We're almost through it, so I won't. But I almost thought about once because I had to go to the bathroom earlier, and I was just like, why don't you just talk about Tim for a second while I run out of here real fast because that's where the camera's gonna sit, But I mean, we've only got 30 minutes or so to go, so it's not the end of the world. But yeah, I could definitely imagine sitting there and being like, you know what, I gotta go to the bathroom and I just need to do that real quick. So ghost the car. Everyone has their own rules about what to do. As we do see Scudiero. Oh, we didn't see him with all the damage. That could, he doesn't have to add fuel, so it shouldn't add too much time. They just gotta get the repair. He put new tires on, though. Might as well. You're in there.
Yeah, why not? Nothing to lose. I mean, Sneaky or Sleepy's way too far back, so nothing to lose really by putting on a fresh set of softs, super softs.
And he went off, Sneaky did back here, and that means now Tom's going to watch this time start to probably come down like pretty aggressively as he comes through this section. I don't think that's a 19-second gap anymore.
No, it's gone down way down, nearly less than 10 seconds. In fact, it is now 10 seconds.
Dino still hadn't found a way to really close it down on Splash. Oh, we saw the mistake that Sneaky made. It was in the braking zone, going in the long straight before you get onto the actual start-finish straight.
Yeah.
He put 2 tires off and went around there. Didn't take damage, though, and as we've said, that's the big thing. If you go off and don't take damage, it only costs you a couple of seconds. If you go off and take damage, it costs you 40 seconds. So there's
and you've got to be really lucky to spin. I mean, that's a fast part of the track to lose control as well. Going on the straightaway, so...
Well, so it's
he was quite fortunate.
It's that big left-right. I didn't actually see what caused it. My guess is in the braking zone, he put 2 tires on the dirt, and then that lost him control as he tried to, enter the turn. It's the most common way that people wreck there. It usually happens when people are going side by side, because you just don't have to extend the track all the way when you're not 2 cars abreast. So he probably just ran it out too wide, put some tires on the grass, and that, caused him to go all the way around. Especially in the Lexus. The Lexus, I love driving the Lexus, but it's a squirrely one, and it can go around real quick. But Rotary's got himself a comfortable gap. Sprinkler's in a comfort zone right now. Splash has comfortably been 1 second ahead of Dino for a while now. I wonder if Dino's going to be able to find the pace to close that gap down here in the next, 3.5 laps.
It definitely is.
I guess
there.
4.5 laps,
Splash had a little sideways off that last corner.
Tom still 9 seconds back of Sneaky as well. So we've got a couple of people that are getting kind of close.
Yeah, Dino was now within slipstream distance of Splash now.
Oh, yes, close that up.
Yeah, Splash made a mistake a couple of corners ago, and it's really allowed Dino to catch up quite a lot.
Oh, he's all over him. The Viper is a straight line machine. Oh, he goes to
Oh,
the
he's
inside
just going for it.
quickly. Yeah, I mean, there's just nothing you're supposed to
Wow.
do in the Subaru. Like, you don't have the same speed. Look, 156 versus 152. I mean, he's in the slip and he's not going as fast as the Viper. Granted, he just got there, but it just kind of shows this Viper
Oh,
is
here comes
very
Splash.
aggressive. Oh, he's taking up a lot. Dino is taking up a... Oh, that is a double move, by the way, if I've ever seen one.
Yeah, that was a bit iffy from Dino.
Yeah, you got to
Because
pick one
Splash
direction.
was
You can't
looking.
block left, then block right, then block left. You got to just block one of them and let them take the other one.
I tell you what, if that was a NASCAR maneuver, block me once, that's fine. Block me twice, you're in the wall.
Block twice in NASCAR and you're black flagged, man. You're out of the race. But regardless of that, Dino sitting with a 5/10 of a second lead over Splash here, and Splash is probably not real happy about losing that time. You know, he worked hard to get back up into that top 5. He's had an amazing recovery race. Dino also in an amazing recovery race, as he had that difficulty right there at the start too. So this
Dino's
is literally the battle of the recoveries.
Dino was actually on course for his best lap here at the moment. He has set a 8:04.212, and he was a second quicker in that last sector. So Dino is getting it now.
Man, he's got that. If he can keep his focus up, he's got Splash just all over that rearview mirror. And this is one of those situations I was talking about where
He's run a little wide though.
He's run really
just
wide.
A couple of wheels off, and Splash regains the position. There was no contact though.
Nope, it looked like he just ran it wide. But yeah, when you're in this like spot like we're seeing on both ends, it's where you really want to decide what move you're going to make, and you need to figure it out before you get there. You like when you're racing reactionary, sometimes an apex opens up and you just got to react and take it. But when you're literally not trying to set someone up and you're just waiting for them to make mistakes, that's when you end up getting collected in their mistake. You're not looking for it. You're not ready for it. You're not predicting when the mistake is happening. You're just waiting for stuff to happen. And that's when you end up getting collected along with them. But when you're like actively predicting like, ooh, I saw him put a tire off here. That tire's dirty. He might go wide on this next apex. That's when you'll see like the move we saw him do the first time where he just saw the opening, went to the inside, and just got it done super quick. And this is another situation. If you can set him up this straight, Splash is a sitting duck here if he doesn't get a good exit. He got a good exit, though. That's a 10th gain through that corner, but now it's just plummeting as the Viper gets its street. Yeah, it's just... We'll see what is this Subaru going to max out about 160. Pulling a 160, and then Dino behind him at 171. He's going 11 miles an hour faster than the Subaru was going there. Just flying up that hill. And yeah, it's tough. I don't know if you try to break the slip there, it could get dangerous, and he could, like, when people try to break the slip on you, sometimes you can just not move, and they'll slingshot you back alongside them, because they'll move you out of the slip, and you'll just pull right alongside them. So always be careful. If people are really close when you move alongside, sometimes if they're smart, they're just going to step up right outside you. I think Dino's got to go defensive here, though. He could definitely get lunged by the WRX. The WRX has about 20 meters later braking. And
Splash could
nope,
go really
stayed
late
back.
on the brakes now. He's going to...
Well, that's what you got to watch. The Subaru is going to be able to brake vastly later than a Viper. Right, the Viper is not going to have the same brakes that Subaru is going to have, so he actually can cleanly lunge him, because where the Subaru, or where, like, for example, coming up on this next corner, you'll see the Viper braking, like, right as they get down to the 100 board. The Subaru can push it down just as this 100 board passes, which gives him the ability to dive. Now, he's going to need to be closer than 9/10 of a second, but when he does close it up, look for him to look for a late braking opportunity, because that's where the Subaru is really going to maximize. Dino on a best lap so far. I think that is about the... I'm looking to... I think that's about the only real gaps we have is the Dino Splash. Everyone else seems to have about 25 to... multiple seconds. When the next lap, just in case we have the following caster or anyone watching to start to try to set a grid or get it started written down, I will start working through the running order when Philo comes across the finish line for the lap 22, and then I'll do it again on lap 24 in case they aren't here to see it then. But we do have Philo sitting in a comfortable first place, cruising through the middle section of this Nordschleife. 42-second lead over Tim. Tim with a 26-second lead over Rotary as well. I'm accidentally almost going through the entire order by just looking at it. So I think I'll just continue as Rotary's got 27 seconds back of Tim. Sprinkler 43 seconds back of Rotary, a minute 51 back of the leader. Fourth place is almost 2 minutes back of the leader. That is a pace by Philo. Dino, who has taken over the lead from Splash, 2 minutes and 17 seconds back from the lead in fifth. Splash in sixth, 2 minutes and 18 seconds back of the lead. Baggage in seventh with a good race. He's had a lot of trouble in the stint. He's taken some damage from people and stuff like that, but still having a good race, it seems. 136 or 23 seconds back of Splash, a minute 36 up on Scooter Driver, and 241 back on the lead. Now we drop to Driver, who's 416 back on the leader, a minute 36 back of seventh. Sneaky sitting 31 seconds, and he's gapped up on Tom a little bit, who's sitting in 10th. Tom 25 seconds back of, or 25 seconds ahead of Shadow, 5 minutes back on Philo, 4 minutes and 59 to be exact. Shadow's had a rough race, had a tough time out there, but still consistently just looking outside the top 10, 524 back of the lead. And Shake and Bake sitting 6 minutes and 20 seconds back of the leader, and at the back of the pack, back on the wheel, we got Lewis sitting 10 minutes and 44 seconds off of the leader. Like I said, if you needed that, you can look through it, or you can go through, you can have that there, and I'll go through it again on the last lap as well. But
I also to forget as well, the THG Racing Team Holland of R18, unfortunately disconnected as well.
That is correct, and R18 did have a disconnect, so he is technically running 14th in the lobby, a lap back. So he will get his time marked in, and everything will work for that. But the main battle, I think, is if we can see Splash find a way to close this gap on Dino. But Dino's kind of set himself apart now. And now he's starting to separate that gap. And if you don't have the slip of the Viper, it's going to be a lot of trouble. You really need that slip. We saw the difference in speed between the Viper and the Subaru. We've seen it a few times. And, if you can't get pulled, you just have no chance to get to the same top speed he does. So if he's able to run through these quick, windy sections at enough to keep the gap away, he's going to gap you and continue to gap you here with, 3.5 laps to go. Tim, still 43 seconds back, looking good in second. Rotary and Sprinkler. So Rotary's done a great job. He set Liam up in a good position to have a decent chance here. So, props to them. That is exactly what you're looking for out of this race.
Yeah, gap is still coming down. 41 seconds it is now. 47 when it comes to the last stint. But it's still quite a hefty gap though for Liam to have. He does have that security of the GTAS boys there in second overall in the this 24-hour race.
Well, yeah, and the GTAS boys, don't slouch on them either. I'm sure whoever they're bringing in, I don't know who's driving for them exactly in the final race. Okay, well, I'm sure he's going to give it his all. And it's not like that gap isn't manageable, right? If you think about a 40-second gap, if we were doing that math in this lobby right now, there are multiple people who have 40-second gaps over people right now. So, yeah, we've got like 3 or 4 people who have found 40 seconds. The leader has 40 seconds over second. So it is 100% in a heavy damage race possible to make up pretty much any gap in one race. But at the same time, any gap that's as small as 30 seconds, 40 seconds, that's almost a non-issue at that point. As Philo starts the 22nd lap, so that'll be exactly 3 laps and then 3 minutes to go for the leader. Phone's finally about to die for the day. And yeah, I think it really is the Dino and the Splash. I would love to try to find more stuff. If anyone in the chat would like us to talk about any of their buddies or give them some screen time, if I've been trying to make sure I'm giving everybody as much as possible. Obviously, with the battles going on, some people naturally get more than others. But if there's anyone who hasn't been mentioned or anyone you'd like to get a shout out to, let us know. Be more than happy to make sure they get their final streaming time as we're looking through it. But we are going to keep an eye on Dino and Splash. I have a feeling this fight isn't done yet. And to be fair, if this race ends up anything like Stint 4, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, and eighth are all going to slam into a wall in the last lap and go 50 miles an hour around the entire lap. So we could be in for an insane thing. Edwards says, hi, Sean.
Oh, Edwards or Lewis, is that his?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
I just recognize the username.
Doing?
Yep. I do not know how he's doing. I'm just reading a chat to you, but he may answer at some point as he can hear you.
Okay, then. He'll probably be eating his rice or steak or whatever that he had for Christmas Day.
Well, I'm honestly surprised to anybody over... I mean, my guess is maybe Edwards is up for the morning right now, because it is a weird time to be awake if you're not just now getting up or something, if you've been watching the whole time.
Tell you what, Dino made a mistake there.
Me.
Dino's made a mistake, and Splash is caught now. He's caught up now.
This seems to be kind of the motto of this entire race, is whoever's in the lead makes a mistake and the other person catches them back up. Funny guy, I'm next. Oh, Edwards, I'll be watching you. I'll be watching you and trying not to fall asleep, but all these battles are too close not to watch it.
Okay, I thought McCune was going to be racing in it because I know Edwards was doing the last stint. He did the previous stint.
I'm reading chat to you. I have no idea if what I'm saying is accurate or not. So, who knows? Lasagna and rice, boy? Well, hold on. You don't put lasagna on. Like, no, it's lasagna. It's pasta or rice. You don't put two carbs in the same thing. Like, what? Why do you got two starches in there? But Dino, 5/10 of a second. This is going to be the battle, I think. I think the 5th place is where it's all coming down to. And again, I don't know what Splash does with the penalty. I'm sure it adds on at the end, so you've got to find a way to get it off if you don't want it to add on at the end.
Do you know what I find totally weird is normally when we do the touring car races, I'm always the number one commentator and you the co-commentator. It's now like roles reversed, and it feels definitely weird. Anyways, Baggage is into the pits as he's got some damage now, so yeah, that's a bit of an issue there for Mr. Baggage.
It doesn't look like it'll change the overall position. I think he's got a big enough gap on driver that, unless he forgets to push the button, he'll be all right. But I mean, it's just salt in the wound there. It's been a rough race, picking up damage all over the place, and then just 2 laps to go, and we're gonna pick up a little bit more.
I'm thinking Scuderia has made a pit stop because I'm looking at the lap 19. He did a 9:34.
Yeah, he picked up that engine damage. We mentioned that.
Yeah,
right?
But that was on lap 16. He did a 9:20 then.
So he got more.
I'm guessing he's done another one. Yeah, because the gap now is 1 minute and 23. I know it was definitely less than that.
Yeah, and the gap to... Yeah, so he made another mistake. Had to get some... a couple of things taken care of, but... He's back on the track, and to be fair, a lot of people in the positions they're in right now, mistakes aren't going to cost them positions on the track, but they're going to cost them time on the board. So all these mistakes that it's like, I was in 7th and I got 7th. It's like, yeah, but you could have gotten 7th 30 seconds earlier, and that 30 seconds would be super nice. So I think it's more along the lines of you want to keep it clean because you're no longer racing for position unless your name is Dino or Splash, in which case they're still racing for position. But everyone else is racing for 100% time right now. The gaps are only getting closed down if someone slams into a wall. And then there's Splash and Dino who are like, we know that everybody else is spread out. We'll put on a show. No worries. We got you.
Yeah, Splash looking very racy. Look at that. Nearly
Sean or Jerry, got any idea on
this?
the overall positions? I do have some ideas on the overall positions. They're not perfect. We're going to get an updated... Is he got the exit speed? That's the acceleration zone you wanted, and he's trying to get the overlap. He doesn't quite get the acceleration out, though. Yeah. It's tough. This is a good area for it because if you get side by side, the Viper isn't as aggressive. It can't go as flat out and through everything, and so it kind of works out.
Oh, that was like a cigarette paper between the front and the back of the
It was almost like he ghosted it in time. Flashing. What are you flashing him for? He's racing you.
Could bump draft in this track. You never knew that.
I was about to say, if you're on a controller, you accidentally flash sometimes with the left thumbstick. So sometimes, in the corner, you flash. So, any idea on the overall positions? Yes, I do have a slight idea on the overall positions. I know that the team that Rotary drives for is currently leading the overall, and their lead was 6 seconds over Sprinkler. So they currently have a lead over the entire league of about 44 seconds, putting Sprinkler roughly in third or in second, and then we had Scuda in third, but there's potential for some changes in here for third. Third may or may not be where it was, but the real like top of the table battle between GTAS and I don't know if you guys are. I don't remember your team name if it's SMM or SBR or whatever, but the Rotary team, the SBR team, is currently going to have roughly a 40-second lead going into the final stint over second place. I think a roughly like minute 40 or so over third place, but that might get worse as third place is about 4 minus 1, so about 3 minutes back. So third place may have dropped a little bit depending on where everybody else is.
Who's the team that's in fourth position?
I mean, you know my answer is. I feel like I've answered your team. I don't know. I have no idea. I have to scroll through a million things to find that back in the chat. First was Rotary's, the team with Rotary. Second was Sprinkler. Third was Gutierrez Driver. And fourth was, yeah, that's as far as I made it. I know Philo was in seventh, but he'd worked his way back up to fifth. And who knows? The TNR Philo team might currently be in fourth based on this insanity that he's running right now. I mean, that is like just 759, 758, 801, clearly a pit. 757, 759, 759. It's just like, do you run a different number? Do you only run 759s and take a penalty? So yeah, it looks, to be fair, the fact that we are almost 20 hours into this race and the gap between the leaders is going to be less than a minute after 20 hours is just ridiculous. And I don't even want to like fantasize on how some of these other gaps are, as we do see Philo starting the penultimate lap. And to be fair, I know we gave Tim a bunch of credit there when he got into second, and since then he's gotten this huge gap and we haven't talked much about him. But for anyone who just is joining us, understand that Tim has had a race of a lifetime battling through here, and then once he got control, once he got control of the race, he really showed how to drive. He's taught me something new about the BMW just watching him drive. This guy's a hero. He's an American, and he's an American. How did I not notice that? Tim, let's go, baby. That's what I'm talking about.
It took you that long to realize he's an American.
What are you talking about? Americans never win lobbies with British people in it. They're never on the podium. I'm super pumped. It is literally. I don't even know how you're still talking at the time it is your time, but yeah, I'm super pumped. Way to go, Tim. Big fan. Number one fan. Rotary, though, I mean, he's done his job, right? His job was to create a gap between the team behind him, and that's exactly what he's done. The person behind him is who he needed to create a gap on, and that was a 36-second gap. So you can't ask for much more out of Rotary's. I mean, everyone needs to probably give him a hats off there. That is a literal win in Stint 2 to set the team up well, and now he's setting the team up with the gap going into the final stint. I mean, that's just next level. I mean, his teammates better be thinking about getting him a beer, getting him a vodka, whatever it is he likes.
Sorry, I'm still looking at this. In the same battle going on for fifth position. Splashes all over the back of Dino now, and they're going onto the long straightaway. And what's Dino doing? That was sort of like nearly brake checking then.
I think he's trying to set up for the re-slipstream. Like, he wanted him by so he could slipstream him down here. Now he's just saying, I'll have the top speed on you. I don't need Slipstream to beat you. You're the one who needs Slipstream, and no, he does. Ow, he just snuck in there to sneak it. He just snuck and tried to sneak a mile an hour out of it. He's not wrong, though. He didn't need Slipstream to pass him. He could just drive in a straight line faster than him. That is a tough place to be in. I don't envy Splash, where you're just like, oh, the main passing zones are not passing zones for me. But that's okay because we got turn 1, we've got the whole GP, and to be fair, the entire Nord... Oh, he clipped the wall! But he kept his pace up. He didn't lose any time from that.
I was actually on board with Dino. He didn't hit the wall at all.
Yeah, because Splash hit the wall.
Oh, Splash did. Okay, my bad.
He was like, I know Dino didn't. Yeah, Splash scraped it falling behind him because he was getting pulled by all that dirty air, and it's going to force him into that understeer. It looks like he's keeping it more narrow through there, so he's definitely he was definitely looking for the race, but he didn't get the exit, which actually ended up losing him time. That's kind of what happens if you try for the like narrow cut and you can't get traction. It's gonna cost time. And let's see here, Philo. Whoa, Philo is trying to throw. Okay, you didn't take damage. I was scared senseless. This is why I was telling you, Philo, we don't need to be running 59s. You can run 802s and be fine. Whew, that was terrifying. I'd click over to Philo just to see if he's getting close, and he was completely off the track.
I mean, again, you can't fault him for trying. He's desperately trying to get his team up the pecking order to come the official results. And
oh yeah, he's pushing everything he's got.
It's the fine line between overstepping that line, and he just did then. And I mean, that's quite an early part of the track. And I mean, that could have been disastrous then.
Yeah, you can't slam into a wall on this lap or the next. If you take engine damage on this lap or the next lap, it could potentially be the win. Yeah, 100%. You need to gain every second you get, but understand that if you take engine damage, everything you've worked for the past 3 hours and 2 minutes is gonna get lost, and all that time's gonna end up getting lost anyway. So, like, would you rather lose 2 seconds or 45 seconds? But I think he's gotten it back down. It's the one mistake. We said he made like 2 or 3 in the last race and took damage a bunch. He's cleaned it up. One major mistake here. And we didn't even catch it. May not have even been major, right? I only caught the end of it, but it looked terrifying. It was like headed towards a wall, barely missed it, was on the grass. I think you caught the replay on it, so it may have been real close to damage.
Yeah.
So a little bit of luck there. It may have slowed him down a little bit.
I think Rotary needs to get going. I think he's good enough to go to the rest of the way now, so he doesn't need to fuel save. But the problem is, though, the gap is still coming down with him and Sprinkler, down to 33 seconds. So it's going to be 39 at the moment. But I'm just looking at those last 3 laps that Sprinkler's gained on Rotary. To my knowledge, Sprinkler has gained at least about 17 seconds alone in this stint. And I mean, I do believe that Edwards is going to be racing in for the last stint. And if Edwards makes a mistake, then it's going to throw it back open again to GTAS. And I mean, this would actually help because of what Sprinkler's doing in this last stint. So Roddy needs to get going here because that gap is still coming down.
Yeah, I think I'm curious. We'll see. Rotary is having the experience that I have in the BMW, right? We saw at the beginning he's running like 801s, 802s flying. Then he gets in a little bit of trouble. He needs to short shift. He needs to start fuel saving. And his times fall into 807s and 806s. And because this is my understanding, the BMW you can't short shift. When you short shift it, you lose insane time. And then we click on Tim, who's been short shifting the entire race, and 8 minutes, 802, 8 minutes, 801, 801, 801. Oh my lord, you alien! Run a different lap. 801, finally an 802. And it's just I'm sitting here going like, Tim, what are you doing? The BMW was supposed to be my car. I was supposed to know all the tricks to it. And I don't know that it was able to short shift because when I short shift it, I look like Graham. Or Rotary. So it's real interesting to see that working out. And I'm definitely going to save this replay and watch this lap back. I just must have the wrong shift point. He's clearly getting pace out of it and not losing time. And whatever, I just want to dissect this. I just want to figure out like what he's doing to not lose the time that I always lose when I short shift the Beamer.
I think Tim has mastered the short shifting because I think to me Rotary is short shifting a lot more earlier going up the gears is what Tim's doing.
Yeah, he's probably he may be saving harder. And to be fair, short shifting is an art. Like, there are drivers who drive cars and they prefer to be on the fuel save. They prefer not to be revving it out. And then there's people like me. I love it when you're just wrapping the gears out and you're just hearing the thing scream and you're shifting through it. And I just like it when it's a little bit more aggressive. I don't want to be shifting at, 4,000 RPMs. I want to be shifting at 9,000 RPMs. I want it to be revving out. Like, I want to hear the engine. If I was wanting to go with no engine, I'd drive a Tesla. But Splash and Dino coming up on the final lap. They're going to get ready. two quarters, that's not a thing, that's a half. 3/4 of the way through the lap. Splash has gotten back ahead of Dino. I think it's kind of one of those deals where, I mean, to be fair, Dino has the straight line speed, so as long as he's in the slipstream, when he's behind, when they get to the big long straight, he wins the battle usually. I mean, that's what happens when you have the straight line car. You win the straight line races.
Yeah, so as you said there, Philo was just making his last lap now.
Alright, start of the final lap, so I got to go through the roll one more time so you guys can get the gaps and everything for the final stint as well, as Philo has started the final lap. There's a 45.8 second gap to Timmer. There is a 1 minute and 26 second gap to Rotary in third. Sprinkler in fourth with a 1 minute 55 second gap. We have Splash in fifth with a 2 minute and 29 second gap. DMRE Dino in sixth with a 2 minute and 30 second gap. DeBaggage, seventh with a 3 minute and 33 second gap. Scooter driver, I've totally given up on even saying that. I'm literally mumbling the first part and then saying driver. At a 4 minute and 20 second gap in eighth place. In ninth, we've got Sneaky hanging out with a 5 minute and 4 second gap in ninth. You know what's going to be funny is if his nickname was Sleepy and now they changed it to Sneaky because I've been saying it wrong the whole time. THG Tom 79, who's really had a fantastic race. I haven't seen many mistakes out of him. I think we remember him picking up damage once maybe, but that's what happens. If you keep your car mostly clean compared to everybody else, you find yourself in the top 10, 5 minutes and 31 seconds back. SMM Shadow sitting 6 minutes and 26 seconds back, just outside the top 10 and 11th. WBRT Shake and Baked is in 12th at 7 minutes and 18 seconds back. DMR Lewis is in 13th at 11 minutes and 56 seconds back. And then 14th is R18, who DC'd midway through.
But, so we're just about catching up to 5:45 in the morning now. And we've got last lap now for Philo, and Tim's also on the last lap. Rotary's just, Sprinkler's just exiting the Castro S, getting a little sideways off there, but the gap is now coming down 28 seconds. Rotary doesn't need to save fuel now. He's good to go the rest of the way. He doesn't need to save all of his fuel.
I don't even know that it is fuel saving anymore. His laps are so consistent. I think driver fatigue is a real thing right now. He has literally he didn't host race 1, I don't think, but he hosted race 2 and ran it, hosted race 3, and that took forever to get going, hosted race 4, these are 4-hour races, guys, hosted race 5, and I don't know if he's planned on hosting race 6, but he has been absolutely like an anchor to this entire event. So the fact that he's in third, sitting on a podium, and is beyond amazing that he's still got that kind of focus. He's got to get one more lap done as we see him scrape the wall there. Ooh, don't do it now. But yeah, I think it might straight up be driver fatigue. It's been a long day. He's been helping out nonstop. He's been running this for 3 hours straight. And you can just see on his times, it looks like driver fatigue. 5s into 6s, into an 8, into 6s, 7s, 9s. That is a driver fatigue type number. They're not getting better. They're not solving. It's just, he looks like, it's like, just get this race done. How long is this lap? This gap's coming down. To be fair, all he has to do is not put it in a wall. If he doesn't put it in a wall, he'll still hold that lead, and the lead will be solid. And it'll be good enough, and the job will be done. The big issue would be if he's made it all this way, done everything to keep it clean, and puts it in a wall. So definitely want to make sure he keeps it there. Splash has done a good job of separating on Dino. If he can keep it, it's going to come down, this battle between Splash and Dino is going to come down to whether or not Dino can get inside the slipstream by the final straight. If Dino can find the slip before the final straight, I think the Viper wins out. If Splash can keep him out of that slipstream, there's just no chance. The Viper won't be able to close up a full second gap on a straight.
Just looking at the front tyres, Dino and Splash are exactly the same, but I think this is the part of the track where the Subaru will come to life, and the Dodge will really struggle around here with just these fast, complex corners here, isn't it?
Yeah, for him, he wants to keep this clean because this next straight section is actually a pretty good section for him. It's not going to be like the major close the gap zone, but you can start using some of the Viper's strengths. Now, that being said, the Subaru can actually do quite good here, just like the BMW, because this right-hander, this set of right-handers, he doesn't even lift. Didn't even have to pull out of it. Dino didn't have to pull out of it either. Super Softs are broken, guys. Neither one of them lifted for that corner. So, yeah, about that. Maybe I missed Dino's lift. I'm shocked the Viper didn't have to lift. But yeah, it's really just going to come down to if he can close that gap down. I mean, he needs to find a way to close about a second on him over the course of this lap. We see Rotary has lost another second to Sprinkler, but that doesn't matter. It's just about getting around the track on time for him, keeping whatever gap he can. Splash does have to run, if he doesn't run the penalty, it's going to add a second. He's going to have to run the penalty off, right? Dino is, yeah, I mean, Dino's losing time now. I wonder if he's almost like just relegated to just, like if he doesn't make a mistake, I'm not going to make this pass. I'm tired of trying to catch up to him.
Tom's just come across the line in 10th place to start his last lap. Did it 8:21.6, so he's down about 10 seconds a lap from his best lap. So again, that could be a case either he's done a mistake or driver fatigue.
I mean, honestly, like mistakes at this point, I think just about everybody could say it was driver fatigue potentially. Even if it wasn't, you could probably be like, dude, I was so tired by that lap that I just slammed it into a wall. I forgot to brake. But, I mean, the main thing is just keep telling, like, not keep telling yourself, but just remind yourself, brake markers. What is my next brake marker? What is my next turn-in marker? What is the next thing I need to do? I don't need to worry about 3 laps from now. I don't need to worry about 4 turns from now. I don't need to worry about how I'm going to celebrate what position I got. Just where is my next braking zone? What is the next corner? And that is, I'm not thinking any further than 1 corner ahead. Dino's starting to close it down. It's now under 1.6. I mean, it could be one of those races to the finish line. This would be an insane finish if they can close it up. He's down to 1.4. This is a big straight. This is one of the opportunities the Viper needs to try to take advantage of. It is a pretty quick little corner going onto this section. He lost some time. That's to be expected. The Subaru nailed that corner, but we should be able to start pulling it back down as they really start to wrap out through here.
Philo's just entering the long straightaway for the final time.
Nice. And, we'll jump over there in just 1 second. Yep. Let's watch him come across.
And, what a drive it's been. I think he qualified mid-pack and then obviously made to, stamp his authority, battling, working as well through the field. And I think that was just his main objective, is just to get to the front, and he's just not looked back ever since.
No, I mean, this has been a fantastic drive from Philo. We will double check real quick that the gap... Oh! Why was Splash so off pace there? So check them. I'll watch Philo. Let me know if anything goes on at 5th and 6th that I need to switch to immediately. But Philo is going to go ahead and lock down this 3 hours and right at 15-minute race. They ended up doing 24 laps, flashing the lights. He's got the fan club watching him. Takes the finish there. Tim, 46 seconds back, so that's going to be a decent little gap right there as he's coming across. Let's check Splash. Splash with a 1.2 second gap, so it could still be inside slip range. The main thing is Dino trying to close the gap down into slip for the final straight, as we do see Timler, Rotary not even in his rearview mirror. He has separated that gap by a lot as he goes under the bridge and around the corner. 2 more corners to go before he is done with his 24-hour race. He has got to be excited to have his 8 hours done with.
I tell you what, he would be dead chuffed there to finish in 2nd place, because he was a man on a mission in the, like from I think it was like lap 4 onwards. He was really catching the guys up in front. So that's a solid effort for Tim Lauer and the team.
Tim acting like he's been there. No light flashing, just straight across the line, taking the podium. 2nd place is his. Rotary with a 25-second gap here, so he's done his job. He can finish this race and go, guys, my brain doesn't work anymore. I can't think straight, but you know what? I did my dang job. Go clean it up for us. It's up to you to finish it up now, because that's what we needed. That's what I did. We're good to go.
Yeah, it's up to Vulcan now to bring it on home, but it looks like to me the gap's going to be roughly about 31, maybe 32 seconds going in towards the last stint.
So we've got...
yeah, Rotary.
Rotary's gonna hit the finish line before the finish. I am wondering if Splash will. I don't think they're gonna. Oh, it's gonna be close. Splash has brought it up to a 2-second gap.
Two
I mean,
seconds.
to be fair, guys,
And they're
this
going on to the
recovery
straightaway now.
race, the recovery race from Splash and Dino are both fantastic. But since Splash won the race between the two of them and got him by 2 seconds, I gotta say Splash, with the recovery race of the entire stint by far, he was like in 12th or 13th at one point.
Sprinkler's coming across the line then in fourth position, 25 seconds behind Rotary, so it'll be 31 seconds the gap between SBR to Team GTAS.
I mean, that is a tight gap. 49 seconds remaining, so Splash trying to get there before that timer runs out. He should be able to make it. Dino, I mean, could you imagine an hour and 16 minutes and you're separated by 1.4 seconds?
I think you better go through the rest of the pack here because I don't think Baggage is going to make it there because he's 3 minutes 44 behind Philo.
Yeah, so they only get the 3 minutes to hit the finish line. So we got Splash going across 5th, 6th is Dino. Yep, 7th is going to end up Baggage. He won't quite make it. 8th is Driver. 9th is going to be Sleepy or Sneaky. Tom is going to be in 10th. Shadow is in 11th. Shake and Bake in 12th. Lewis will end up in 13th. And 14th will be R18. I don't think they're going to make the line. It's 1 second. Warp speed. And the finish happens. And there's the finishing order. That is 20 hours of the 24 hours of the AXR charity race against dementia down. Congratulations, Philo. Sorry, Fee-Fi-Fo-Lo. Who cares? He won the show. So congratulations.
Nice
I'm on the spot, you know. That's what I do.
Jenny with a bit of poetry.
That's how I roll. So, congratulations to Philo there, Philo. Taking the win, really revenging that second stint where he had the win and just kind of, like, I'm sure if he talked to us, he would say, yeah, I threw that away. I slammed the car into the wall twice. So he came back stint 5 and really just kind of showed the pace and set it up. And Tim with an amazing second place, and Rotary, like we said the whole time, he got the job done. He put his team in a position to potentially go win this thing in stint 6. So
yeah.
I don't remember. I should remember who's casting the next one.
It's going to be Paris. According to Rob, it was going to be Paris and Fred.
I need to pull up this real quick so that we can see the list. I think I might even need to screenshot it real fast. So let me do that just in case. I didn't last time, but I might. So there it is. And that'll be the finishing order. Philo in first, Tim second, Rotary third, Sprinkler fourth, Splash. We already went through all this. You guys saw it all. There we go. I don't know why my whole thing went out. Splash in 5th, Dino in 6th, Baggage in 7th, Driver in 8th, Sneaky in 9th, Tom in 10th, Shadow in 11th, Shake and Bake in 12th, and Lewis rounding it out in 13th. Guys, this has been the 5th stint of the 24-hour charity race Against Dementia. Thank you guys so much for hanging out. I've been Jerry. Along with me has been Sean. Some of you know him as Savvy. Thank you guys so much for hanging out. This channel, coming up here in just a minute, it's going to be that final stint. Join us. Have a fun time with it. Thank y'all. See ya.